Chapter 2455. Shen Huang, how is your mother now? Lu Ming hesitated for a moment and asked. That was what Lu Ming was most concerned about. Mother is still the same as before. Lu Shenhuang said. When we return from the primordial realm, we'll go and find your mother. Lu Ming said. It was time to settle the matter of Xianyanqing. Otherwise, Lu Ming would never be at ease. Let's go. Lu Ming stood up, followed by Lu Shenhuang and the others, and headed towards the passage back to the primordial realm. Lu Ming had returned to the primordial realm several times, so he was already familiar with the way. Not long after, Lu Ming and the others returned to the primordial mountain of the primordial realm through the void passage. The primordial realm was still peaceful. Back then, the foreign races used the bones of the previous generation of spacetime spirit mice to open a passage to the primordial realm. Fortunately, Lu Ming and the others discovered it. In that battle, Lu Ming was captured, but the Titan Longhorn Beetle and 9 Lives demonic silkworm arrived and rescued Dandan, Bubbles, and 2-1 and Lei Yi. Then, they sent the news to the heavenly realm. The heavenly realm sent a large number of experts to guard the passage. The foreign races seemed to know that they could not do anything. In these years, they did not continue to open the passage, nor did they invade from there. Therefore, the primordial realm was still peaceful. Lu Ming led the others and flew toward Celestial City. Back then, the people of Dragon God Valley and the Dragon Alliance occupied the territories of the Hung and He families respectively. Later, the Chaos Palace sent some puppet experts to guard the two families, making the two families impregnable. In these years, they had developed steadily and many experts had emerged. The strength of Dragon God Valley and the Dragon Alliance was steadily increasing. In a huge courtyard, Lu Yuntian and Li Ping were chatting. Although more than 100 years had passed, the two of them had not aged. Instead, they were getting younger and younger. Lu Ming had left behind a large number of resources. Although Li Ping's cultivation talent was poor, with a large number of resources and the guidance of some great emperors, her cultivation had still reached the martial emperor realm. Martial emperors could live for 10 to 20,000 years. Naturally, she looked very young. Sai Ming hasn't returned for over 100 years. I wonder how he is now. Li Ping sighed softly, her eyes filled with longing. Madam, young master is currently in seclusion. I believe that once he comes out, he will come back to see you. At the side, Qiu Yu said. Back then, they hadn't told Li Ping and Lu Yuntian that Lu Ming had been captured by the outsiders. They had only told them that Lu Ming was in seclusion. All these years, Autumn Moon had been by Li Ping and Autumn Moon's side. That's right, you're really a woman. You're already a martial emperor, but you don't have any experience. With Ming-er's current cultivation, it's normal for him to go into seclusion for 100 years. Lu Yuntian said to Li Ping. You're the only one with a big heart. Li Ping rolled her eyes at him. At this moment, the autumn moon seemed to have sensed something and looked up at the sky. The empty sky suddenly trembled, and a spatial crack appeared. From it, several figures walked out. It was Lu Ming and the others. The autumn moon was stunned. Then, her delicate body trembled and tears flowed down her cheeks. She whispered, young master is back. It's young master. The autumn moon knew that Lu Ming had been captured by the outsiders. Naturally, she was extremely worried. Now that she saw Lu Ming, it would be strange if she wasn't excited. Hearing the autumn moon's words, Li Ping and Lu Yuntian also looked up at the sky. The two of them were overjoyed. Let's go down. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. He then stepped down and landed in the courtyard. Lu Shenhuang and the others followed him. Father, mother. Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. Ming, you're finally out. Li Ping was also very excited. As she spoke, she looked at Lu Shenhuang and the others and couldn't help but be stunned. This was because Lu Shenhuang and Lu Ming were too similar. They are, Lu Yuntian was also stunned. Cough cough. Lu Ming coughed a few times and introduced, "Father, Mother, this is my son, Lu Shenhuang. That is Shenhuang's wife, Mu Wanxian. And this is Shenhuang's daughter, my granddaughter, Lu Qi." Li Ping and Lu Yuntian were stunned. But in an instant, their faces were full of smiles. They didn't expect that after 100 years, they would have a grandson. Not only that, their grandson had a wife and a daughter. The two of them were naturally excited to have so many descendants. "Grandpa, Grandma. Grandpa, Grandma." Lu Shenhuang and Mu Wanxian came forward and bowed to Li Ping and Lu Yuntian. "Great-grandpa, great-grandma," the little girl also called out in a cute voice. "Good, good, good. No need to be so polite." The two of them couldn't stop smiling. As a family, blood was thicker than water. Naturally, they got to know each other very quickly. Not long after, Li Ping hugged Lu Qi and chatted with Mu Wanxian happily. "Good, you're just like Ming, Ha." Lu Yuntian patted Lu Shenhuang's shoulder and laughed. The whole family was happy and harmonious. Qiu Moon stood at the side, her eyes full of envy. She hoped that she could give birth to a child for Lu Ming. Shenhuang's mother is, after a while, Li Ping asked Lu Ming. "She's Nianqing." Lu Ming said. "Then where is she?" Li Ping asked with concern. "She has something to do now." "Mother, don't worry. I will bring her to see you soon," Lu Ming said. While everyone was chatting, Lu Yuntian ordered a banquet to be prepared. The news of Lu Ming's return also spread, causing the people of the Dragon League and Dragon God Valley to cheer. Lu Ming was their backbone. Without Lu Ming, they felt uneasy. There was even a rumor that Lu Ming had fallen. There was always an uneasy atmosphere in the Dragon League and Dragon God Valley. Now that Lu Ming had appeared, everyone was naturally happy. At night, the moonlight scattered and the ground seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. Outside the celestial city, on a mountain peak, Qiu Moon stood there quietly, looking into the distance. Sigh. After a long time, Qiu Moon sighed softly. "Qiu Moon, why are you sighing?" Suddenly, a voice sounded. Qiu Moon was shocked. She turned around and saw Lu Ming looking at her with a smile. Young master," Qiu Moon's face blushed. Lu Ming walked over and held Qiu Moon's hand. "Qiu Moon, thank you," Lu Ming said. How could he not know about Qiu Moon's thoughts? "Young master, why are you thanking me?" Qiu Moon said. "Thank you for taking care of my parents for so many years," Lu Ming said. "This is what I should do." Before Qiu Moon could finish, her gentle lips were sealed by Lu Ming's lips. Qiu Yu's body trembled as she slowly closed her eyes. At the corner of her eyes, 2 drops of crystal-clear tears flowed down her white cheeks. After a long time, their lips parted. "Qiu Moon, I, Lu Ming, will not let you down in this life." Chapter 2456. I won't let you down in this life. This was Lu Ming's vow to Autumn Moon. After being in the evil god realm for more than 100 years, Lu Ming had thought through many things. Some people couldn't be let down. For example, Autumn Moon, she had wholeheartedly given too much to Lu Ming. Moreover, she had never asked for anything. How could Lu Ming not know? How could Lu Ming not be moved? "Thank you, young master." Autumn Moon leaned into Lu Ming's embrace and hugged Lu Ming tightly, as if she was unwilling to let go for the rest of her life. The moonlight shone down, pulling the shadows of the 2 people very long, as if they had merged into one. This time, Lu Ming stayed in Celestial City for 3 months. In these 3 months, Lu Ming didn't cultivate much. He accompanied Li Ping and Lu Yuntian with Lu Shenhuang and the rest. Of course, Lu Ming also took the time to preach the Tao. Other than the people from Dragon Alliance and Dragon God Valley, people from other forces in Celestial City also flocked to listen to Lu Ming's preaching. As soon as Lu Ming started speaking, that kind of aura shook everyone. Lu Ming was like a god that ruled the world, explaining the mysteries of the world to the fullest. Celestial Emperor. Some people guessed that Lu Ming must have reached the Celestial Emperor realm. Great emperors definitely didn't have such an aura. The rumor that Lu Ming was a Celestial Emperor spread like wildfire, shaking the entire Celestial City. Then, the entire Primordial Mountain was shaken. Moreover, this news spread to other places at a terrifying speed. A strong wind blew in the entire Primordial realm. Lu Ming had become a Celestial Emperor. This news shocked countless people. Lu Ming stayed in Celestial City for a few months, then returned to the Heaven Realm with Lu Shenhuang and the rest. After returning to the Heaven Realm, they rushed to Xian Yinqing's residence without stopping. It had been more than 100 years, but Xian Yinqing's place of residence had not changed. It was still the same place. From afar, Lu Ming could see Xian Yinqing cultivating on a mountain peak. His entire body was shrouded in a layer of strange black energy. Peak Great Emperor. Sensing Xian Yinqing's aura, Lu Ming was delighted. He was afraid that Xian Yinqing's cultivation was too high. If Xian Yinqing had also reached the Heavenly Emperor realm, then it would be more troublesome for him to restrain Xian Yinqing. On the other hand, Xian Yinqing's cultivation base was only at the Emperor realm. In that case, Lu Ming was confident. Stay here and don't come over. Lu Ming warned Lu Shenhuang and the rest. Then, he stepped forward and walked towards Xian Yinqing. When Lu Ming was a distance away from Xian Yinqing suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with cold light. "Lowly ant, it's you. Die!" Xian Yinqing shouted. His body turned into a black stream of light and pounced towards Lu Ming. Whoosh! When he approached Lu Ming, a long sword appeared in Xian Yinqing's hand. With a slash, a pitch-black sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming used his sovereign Tao. His palm was suffused with purple gold light as he struck out with his palm. Boom! Lu Ming's palm collided with Xian Yinqing's sword light, causing a violent explosion. Xian Yinqing's sword light dissipated. Her delicate body shook and she couldn't help but take 2 steps back. However, Lu Ming's body also shook violently and he took a few steps back. What terrifying power! Lu Ming was shocked. After clashing with Xian Yinqing, she felt that Xian Yinqing's power was shockingly strong. Even her sovereign Tao was about to be torn apart. Although Lu Ming's current cultivation was only that of a 1-star Great Emperor, Lu Ming could suppress and even kill a 1-star Heavenly Emperor with his sovereign Tao. Even with such combat strength, Xian Yinqing had actually repelled him. Xian Yinqing's combat strength was also shockingly strong. With his peak Great Emperor cultivation, he could fight across realms and even kill a Heavenly Emperor. Kill! Xian Yinqing shouted and attacked Lu Ming again. A long spear condensed in Lu Ming's palm and swept towards Xian Yinqing. Lu Ming did not erupt with the power of his physical body. He purely relied on the power of his sovereign Tao to fight with Xian Yinqing. Boom! Boom! The 2 people clashed continuously. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of moves. Lu Ming was shocked to discover that he was actually at a disadvantage. Just relying on his sovereign Tao, he was still not Xian Yinqing's match. He could not help secretly rejoicing. Fortunately, Xian Yinqing did not break through to Heavenly Emperor. Otherwise, he really could not suppress Xian Yinqing. Buzz! Lu Ming's muscles and bones vibrated, beginning to erupt with the power of his physical body. Combining the power of his physical body in the sovereign Tao, Lu Ming's combat strength increased greatly. His long spear trembled, and a terrifying power surged toward Xian Yanqing. Xian Yanqing frantically retreated, his face somewhat pale. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and pounced toward Xian Yanqing. His long spear swept toward Xian Yanqing again. Xian Yanqing yelled. The black glow around her body was extremely intense, emitting a dazzling sword gleam. However, after the sword gleam collided with Lu Ming's long spear, it was directly defeated. Xian Yanqing frantically retreated again. Lu Ming quickly followed. In the distance, Lu Shenhuang and the others were extremely anxious. "Don't worry, Lu Ming won't hurt your mother. He's helping her." A figure suddenly appeared beside Lu Shenhuang and the others. It was Xian Yinjuan. Xian Yinjuan was dressed in white, and his aura was unfathomable. "Yes." Lu Shenhuang nodded. Whoosh! Lu Ming charged at Xian Yanqing. His long spear disappeared and turned into a large hand that grabbed at the young man. Xian Yanqing shouted, and the black light around her body became even brighter. Then, it turned into black lotuses that enveloped Xian Yanqing. Lu Ming's big hand grabbed the lotus flower but was blocked by it. The defensive power of these lotuses was astonishing. So strong. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and charged over, his fists constantly bombarding the lotuses. Boom! 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 The lotuses around Xian Yanqing's body constantly rumbled and exploded, turning into energy and disappearing. "Open for me!" Lu Ming shouted, and the power of the sovereign filled his body. He exerted force and broke apart the lotuses. Then, he reached out and grabbed Xian Yanqing's slender waist. "Lowly ant, you're courting death." Xian Yanqing resisted with all her strength, and Lu Ming's arm went numb. Lu Ming used all his strength to hold Xian Yanqing's slender waist, and his other hand grabbed Xian Yanqing's two arms. Then, the power of the sovereign poured into Xian Yanqing's body, suppressing her strength. The power of the sovereign was indeed very high, and its power was astonishing. Slowly, it suppressed Xian Yanqing's strength. Xian Yanqing's resistance became weaker and weaker. Ant, you're courting death," Xian Yanqing kept shouting. "Shut up and wait. See how I'll conquer you." Lu Ming shouted coldly. After all, this was not Xian Yanqing, but Xian Yanqing's memories from his previous life. "You guys wait here," Lu Ming said to Lu Shenhuang and the others. Then, he flew away with Xian Yanqing to a secluded place and entered the mountain river diagram. "What are you trying to do?" Xian Yanqing shouted. "Shao Qing and I already have a child. We're an old married couple. What do you think I'm going to do?" Lu Ming smiled eerily. Xian Yanqing's face turned pale, and she screamed in fear, No, I won't let you go." Whoosh! Chapter 2457. Lu Ming was very familiar with this process. His palm moved up and down Xian Yanqing's body. Xian Yanqing's skin was like jade, as smooth as silk. This made Lu Ming's abdomen burn with lust. After being touched by Lu Ming's palm, Xian Yanqing's delicate body trembled. Then, she began to struggle violently. However, she was now completely under Lu Ming's control. How could she break free? "Ant, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you," Xian Yanqing kept cursing. However, Lu Ming's movements became faster and faster. Xian Yanqing's clothes were torn into pieces, fluttering like black butterflies. Then, Lu Ming's palm moved along Xian Yanqing's flat abdomen and reached into the fragrant grass below. Xian Yanqing trembled even more violently. Her cheeks were flushed red. In the end, she simply closed her eyes. Lu Ming's attack continued. In the end, the two bodies overlapped. With a soft groan from Xian Yanqing, Lu Ming entered Xian Yanqing's body. At this moment, Xian Yanqing's body trembled violently. Then, she let out a soft cry, "Lu Ming! Shao Qing, it's you!" Lu Ming was overjoyed. It seemed like Xian Yanqing's memories of her previous life had faded away. Her current life's memories were the dominant one. Lu Ming. Xian Yanqing hugged Lu Ming tightly. Her legs wrapped around Lu Ming as she cooperated with Lu Ming. Lu Ming charged forward with all his might. The two of them engaged in a fierce battle. This battle lasted for a total of 300 rounds before it ended. Xian Yanqing fell into a deep sleep at the side. Lu Ming put on his clothes and sat cross-legged at the side. He didn't dare to sleep because he didn't know when Xian Yanqing's memories of her previous life would take over. If that happened, she would definitely attack him. Sure enough, Lu Ming felt a cold murderous intent the next day at dawn. "Lowly ant, how dare you defile my body? Die!" Xian Yanqing shouted. She held a long sword in her hand and charged towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body moved. He dodged Xian Yanqing's attack and counterattacked. This battle was the same as before. Xian Yanqing was defeated in just a few moves. It seems like yesterday's battle was not enough. Let's do it again. Lu Ming had an evil smile on his face. You dare?" Xian Yanqing's delicate body trembled. "Why wouldn't I dare?" Lu Ming grinned hideously. He began to move his hands up and down, executing Xian Yanqing on the spot. Xian Yanqing's memories of her previous life simply gave up and let Xian Yanqing's memories of this life take over. In this way, Xian Yanqing's memories of this life would slowly take over. "Lu Ming, I will definitely win." After the fierce battle, Xian Yanqing lay in Lu Ming's arms. "I believe in you. Now that the divine wilderness has a child, we must reunite as a family," Lu Ming said. In the following days, Xian Yanqing's memories of her previous life launched a counterattack whenever she had the chance. She wanted to kill Lu Ming, but she was subdued by Lu Ming every time. After a series of attacks, Xian Yanqing became docile. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. In this way, Xian Yanqing's memories of this life slowly took over. Every day, the memories of this life dominated for more and more time. Sometimes, she would go out with Lu Ming to accompany Lu Shenhuang and tease little Lu Qi. In this way, a virtuous cycle was formed. Accompanying Lu Ming and accompanying the child, Xian Yanqing's obsession became stronger and stronger. She was absolutely unwilling to give up and fight against the memories of her previous life. And the fighting spirit of her previous life's memories became weaker and weaker. Because of the memories of her previous life, her origin was not trivial. She was a high and mighty goddess, and she did not put Lu Ming in her eyes at all. Although Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the heavenly emperor realm, in her eyes, he was still a lowly ant. What was a heavenly emperor in her eyes? Even a supreme expert who surpassed the heavenly emperor was like an ant in her eyes. But now, she was repeatedly violated and defiled by an ant. She really could not stand it anymore. She would rather die, would rather be merged with Xian Yanqing's memories of this life. Without the fighting spirit of her previous life, the memories of this life naturally took over. Slowly, Xian Yanqing's memories of her previous life became weaker and weaker. Just like this, time passed in a flash. Another 3 years passed. In 3 years, Xian Yanqing's memories of her previous life were practically obliterated and devoured. Most of Xian Yanqing's time was dominated by the memories of this life. Even if the memories of her previous life occasionally dominated, it was also different from before. She did not kill Lu Ming anymore, but was in a daze. On this day, Xian Yanqing accompanied Lu Shenhuang, Lu Qi, and the rest. And Lu Ming was sitting cross-legged on a mountain peak. His body was completely covered in purple gold light. After several years of cultivation, Lu Ming's Tao of Sovereign became more and more mature. Now, I can break through, Lu Ming muttered. Then, he took out pieces of chaos stones and started devouring the chaos chi within the chaos stones to increase his cultivation. Huff huff huff, large amounts of chaos stones were devoured by Lu Ming, refined, and turned into the power of the world. Lu Ming's small world began to rapidly expand again. However, the resources consumed were also shocking. When Lu Ming broke through from the True Emperor realm to the Great Emperor realm, he had consumed a total of 3,000 chaos stones and a large amount of origin stones. Now, Lu Ming had broken through from the 1-star Great Emperor realm to the 2-star Great Emperor realm. The resources consumed were even more. As time passed, Lu Ming refined more and more resources. Half a month later, Lu Ming had consumed a total of 6,000 chaos stones. And 30% of the origin stones in his body. His cultivation had finally broken through to the 2-star Great Emperor realm. His small world had doubled in size, reaching a radius of 20 million miles. The purplish gold energy in his power of the world had increased and become denser. The reason why Lu Ming had consumed so many resources was to convert them into this purplish gold energy. This purplish gold energy was not the power of the world. It was of a higher level than the power of the world. Lu Ming called it the power of the sovereign. At this rate, I don't have enough resources on me. At the thought of this, Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Originally, the resources that he had obtained from the Void Sacred Island were enough. Lu Ming thought that it would at least last him for a long time. But now, he realized that it was not enough. Now, he was only a 2-star Great Emperor. Out of the 20,000 chaos stones, he had consumed 9,000 of them. There were still 20,000 primordial stones left. As for the origin stones, he had used 30 to 40%. At this rate, these resources could only allow Lu Ming to cultivate to the 4-star Great Emperor realm. At this rate, there would be no more resources. Without resources, it would take God knows how long to slowly absorb the origin chi of heaven and earth to advance to the next level. Let's take it one step at a time. Lu Ming sighed. With the increase in his cultivation, Lu Ming's battle strength had increased tremendously. The power of the sovereign had become stronger. Lu Ming could now suppress or even kill a 2-star Great Emperor with the sovereign Tao alone. With his physical strength and the Great Desolation Spear, it would not be a problem for him to defeat a 3-star Great Emperor. Not far away, Xian Yinqing and the others looked over. Forget it, Xian Yinqing muttered. There was a sigh in his eyes and a trace of unwillingness. Chapter 2458. Xian Yinqing's eyes flashed with a complicated look. A voice entered Xian Yinjuan's ears. Xian Yinjuan, I can only leave that matter to you. Don't worry, I'll definitely complete that matter. Xian Yinjuan also sent a voice transmission to Xian Yinqing. After Xian Yinqing heard it, she smiled slightly, then her delicate body suddenly trembled. Boom! At this moment, an extremely powerful aura came out of Xian Yinqing's body. Then, she sat cross-legged, and a black lotus appeared, enveloping her inside. Mother, Lu Shenhuang was shocked. Lu Ming's figure swayed, and he also came close. Don't worry, your mother has succeeded. The memories of this life have completely taken the initiative, and the memories of the previous life have been devoured and merged. Now, she's about to break through. Xian Yinjuan smiled. Lu Ming was also overjoyed. It seemed that Xian Yinqing had finally succeeded. Lu Ming glanced at Xian Yinjuan again. In his eyes, Xian Yinjuan was becoming more and more unfathomable. Xian Yinqing's cultivation had fallen far behind Xian Yinjuan because of the conflict between the two memories. Even Lu Ming could not see through Xian Yinjuan's cultivation now. Shao Qing and Xian Yinjuan, what is their background in their previous life? Lu Ming pondered. He had a feeling that their background in their previous life must be very shocking. However, he was now standing in the Heavenly Emperor realm, almost at the peak. He had even seen powerhouses like the Ancestral Dragon and the other tribe's divine ancestor. However, Xian Yinjuan still gave him a feeling that he could not see through. Lu Ming had asked Xian Yinqing this question before, but Xian Yinqing shook his head and didn't say much. He only said that it wasn't the right time yet. He seemed to have some misgivings, so Lu Ming didn't ask. Xian Yinqing's aura became stronger and stronger, currently at the crucial moment of breaking through to the Heavenly Emperor realm. Everyone waited in the distance. In a twinkle, a month passed. Xian Yinqing still had not finished breaking through. And at this time, Lu Ming received a message. It was transmitted to him by Celestial Emperor Hangyu. Outside Two Realm City, the passageway to the primordial realm was reopened. Lu Ming's heart trembled. That passageway led to the primordial realm. Back then, Lu Ming had come to the heaven realm through that passageway. During the battle back then, the passageway had been destroyed by Lu Ming's divine nine-dragon cauldron. Back then, evil swordsmen had said that the passageway would reopen in about 100 years. Now that more than 100 years had passed, the passage had finally reopened. Lu Ming was a little worried. He was afraid that the foreign tribes would send an army to occupy the passageway and enter the primordial realm. Shenhuang, wait for your mother here. I have something important to do. I'll return to Two Realms City first. After your mother breaks through, come to Two Realms City to find me. Lu Ming said. Father, be careful. Shenhuang said. Lu Ming nodded and took a step forward. The space directly split open. Lu Ming entered the space crack and disappeared. With Lu Ming's speed, it did not take long for him to rush back to Two Realms City. After rushing back to Two Realms City, he learned that the Heaven Realm had already sent some peerless powerhouses to enter the ancient battlefield to guard the passageway. That battlefield was very terrifying. There were marks left behind by the peerless powerhouses back then. Ordinary heavenly emperors would be in danger if they entered. Only peerless powerhouses could enter safely. Now, there were many powerhouses in the Heaven Realm. A group of powerhouses came out of the lair of Zulong. In addition to the powerhouses from the prison suppression realm, there were many powerhouses. And this time, the foreign tribes did not make any moves. They still focused on defense. Hearing this news, Lu Ming breathed a sigh of relief. Now that the prison suppression realm had come to the Heaven Realm, the two sides joined forces and their strength increased greatly. The foreign tribes did not seem to want to fight head-on. Instead, they wanted to wait for divine ancestor Xiaofan to recover. Lu Ming was very clear about the foreign tribes' plans. However, they had no other choice. The Heaven Realm could defend, but if they wanted to gather all their strength and attack the evil God Realm before divine ancestor Xiaofan recovered, they could not do it. The only thing they could do now was to improve themselves as much as possible. The final battle would definitely come. The passageway was fine. Lu Ming was relieved. He returned to Xian Yinqing's side and waited for Xian Yinqing to break through. A few more months passed. Xian Yinqing's aura had reached its peak and broke through a limit. Heavenly Emperor Realm. Xian Yinqing had finally broken through. Strange. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with doubt. Xian Yinqing had broken through to Heavenly Emperor, but the feeling she gave off was different from other Heavenly Emperors. Whether it was in the Heaven Realm or the Evil God Realm, after breaking through to Heavenly Emperor, no matter which cultivation system one cultivated, they all belonged to the Heavenly Tao and involved the power of the Heavenly Tao. Of course, Lu Ming's path of sovereign was an exception. However, Lu Ming did not sense the slightest aura of heaven Dao from Xianyanqing. There was only pure power, but it gave off an extremely terrifying feeling. Lu Shenhuang also cultivated Xianyanqing's cultivation method. It did not belong to the heaven realm or the evil god realm's cultivation system. Lu Ming knew that it should be Xianyanqing's cultivation method from his previous life. Lu Ming, Shenhuang. Not long after the breakthrough, Xianyanqing retracted his aura. He opened his eyes and looked at Lu Ming and Lu Shenhuang with a smile. "Mother, are you completely healed?" Lu Shenhuang was overjoyed. "Yes." Xianyanqing smiled. Then, he glanced at Xianyanjuan. Xianyanjuan smiled and turned to leave, disappearing in the blink of an eye. After that, the whole family gathered together, and the atmosphere was joyful and harmonious. Lu Ming stayed for a few more months. In these few months, Lu Ming was completely relaxed and did not worry too much about cultivation. A few months later, they returned to the primordial realm and met up with Lu Yuntian and Li Ping. After a while, they arrived at Two World City. After that, Lu Ming planned to stay in Two World City and fight against the foreign races while cultivating. The days seemed to have become dull. Time passed quickly, and 20 years passed. After 20 years, Lu Ming finally made another breakthrough, and his cultivation rose to 3-star Great Emperor. However, the resources used were also shocking. This time, he used primordial stones. 20,000 primordial stones were used up by Lu Ming in one go. As for the origin stones, Lu Ming was left with 30% of the total. "I'm afraid the remaining resources are not enough for me to break through to 4-star Great Emperor." Lu Ming smiled bitterly. However, after breaking through to 3-star Great Emperor, the sovereign energy in his autonomous force had become richer, and his battle strength had undoubtedly increased. However, his physical body did not break through, and the 7 gods' mysterious art was still in the early 6th stage. It would take a long time for him to break through to the middle 6th stage. *// On this day, Lu Ming was chatting with Xianyanqing when he suddenly heard the sound of flowing water. This sound seemed to be coming from afar. Moreover, the sound was getting louder and louder, like the waves of a great river. "What's that sound?" Lu Ming and Xianyanqing were puzzled and flew into the sky to take a look. As soon as they flew into the sky, they were shocked because there were people flying into the sky from all corners of Two World City, looking in the direction of Two World City with a puzzled expression. The voice came from outside the Two World City. It spread throughout the entire Two World City. Could it be caused by the foreign races? Someone was puzzled. Let's go and take a look. Chapter 2459. Lu Ming and Xianyanqing also flew toward the city walls. When they arrived, they found that there were already many people gathered on the city walls. However, there was no movement outside the city walls. There was no sign of any foreign races either. "Senior Hengyu, what's going on?" Lu Ming and Xianyanqing saw Celestial Emperor Hengyu and walked over to ask. "I don't know. There was a strange sound outside the city. We have already sent people to check it out," Celestial Emperor Hengyu said. Everyone waited patiently. Not long after, more than 10 figures flew back from outside the city. What happened outside the city? Why is there the sound of a river flowing? Someone asked immediately. There's a battlefield outside the city. The space suddenly split open and a river appeared? An old man answered. A river suddenly appeared? Many people were puzzled. That's right. It's a yellow river. It's extremely wide and there's water overflowing. It's extremely terrifying. A great emperor was splashed by the river water and was directly corroded to death. The old man said. What? Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. What river? The river water was so terrifying that a great emperor would be corroded to death if he was splashed by it. It looks like the legendary Yellow Spring River in abysmal heaven. The old man answered. What? Yellow Spring River? Why would the Yellow Spring River appear in this battlefield? Legend has it that the Yellow Spring River has no end. It flows through the heavens. Perhaps it will pass by this battlefield? But why would it overflow? Many people were puzzled. Yellow Spring River. Lu Ming was shocked. He concluded that it must be the Yellow Spring River. Back then, he accidentally went to abysmal heaven with the primordial physique cultivators and went to abysmal heaven. He used the Yellow Spring River to return to Taiqing heaven. He knew very well that the Yellow Spring River did pass by the battlefield outside the city. Let's go and take a look. Let's go. Many people flew out of the city and flew toward the source of the sound. Lu Ming, do you want to go and take a look? Celestial Emperor Hangyu looked at Lu Ming. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Immediately, he, Xian Yanqing, Heavenly Emperor Hangyu, and the others all flew toward the source of the sound. Not long after, they arrived at a battlefield and stopped in the distance. In front of them, cracks appeared in the space. They could clearly see a yellow river flowing through them. The river was incomparably wide. It flowed through the void, and no one knew where it would lead to. From time to time, yellow river water would overflow and fall on the ground, corroding the ground and creating bottomless pits. It really is the Yellow Springs River. Lu Ming muttered. He had seen the Yellow Springs before, so he definitely wasn't mistaken. However, why did the space suddenly split open and the Yellow Springs water overflowed? This had never been recorded before. Lu Ming was extremely puzzled. On the other side of the Yellow Springs River, there were also countless figures from the outsiders. Clearly, the foreign beings were also alarmed, and they were also looking on with bewilderment. Look, there's a mountain on the Yellow Springs River. Suddenly, someone cried out in shock. There was no need for him to shout, as the others also saw it. In front of the Yellow Springs, an unknown distance away, a huge mountain appeared, faintly discernible. Countless people were shocked. Legend had it that no one knew where the end of the Yellow Springs River was. Even the Heavenly Emperor didn't know. It was extremely mysterious. It could be said that it was one of the most mysterious places in the world. Lu Ming also widened his eyes. When they fled from the abysmal heavenly domain to the Taiqing heavenly domain on the sky-reaching battleship, they had also seen such a mountain. At that time, they had wondered if it was the end of the Yellow Springs River. However, no one noticed that there was a figure in the depths of the sky. That figure was Ancestral Gragon. Is it finally here? Moke has been waiting for this day. After countless years, is the legendary Yellow Springs Mountain going to reappear again? Ancestral Gragon muttered with a serious and expectant look in his eyes. It's time to prepare. Ancestral Gragon said, then turned and left. 3 days later, a dragon's roar resounded throughout the Taiqing heavenly domain. Even Two World City could hear it clearly. In Two World City, Lu Ming suddenly rose to his feet. Ancestral Gragon's voice. Lu Ming was shocked. Ancestral Gragon's roar suddenly resounded throughout the Taiqing heavenly domain. What was going on? What happened? This dragon's roar alarmed the Taiqing heavenly domain. Countless people came out of seclusion. Then, a piece of news spread throughout the Taiqing heavenly domain and even the Yuan realm at the speed of a whirlwind. The lair of Zulong had appeared, and Ancestral Gragon had appeared. Ancestral Gragon was a supreme expert who surpassed the Heavenly Emperor. When the news spread, the Taiqing heavenly domain was in an uproar. After all, not many people in this world knew about Ancestral Gragon. Most people didn't know about Ancestral Gragon's existence. Even some heavenly emperors didn't know about it. Heavens, ancestral Gragon, a supreme expert who surpassed the heavenly emperor? There really is such an existence in this world. I used to think that it was just a legend. Ha ha ha, we are so lucky to have such an expert in the heavenly domain. It is said that there are countless experts in the lair of Zulong. We don't have to be afraid of the foreign tribes now. The appearance of ancestral Gragon raised the morale of the heavenly domain. But Lu Ming wasn't so optimistic. The ancestral dragon suddenly appeared. Could it be that the final battle is coming? Lu Ming whispered. He had a bad feeling. Could it be that Saint Ancestor Sha Xian had completely recovered? Impossible. How many years has it been? At this time, ancestral Gragon sent out a large number of experts to invite some people to the lair of Zulong. Many geniuses were among them. Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing also received an invitation. In addition, Heavenly Emperor Hengyu also received an invitation, as well as Dandan, Bubbles, Huang Ling, Long Chen, Ouyang Wushuang, and others. There was no pattern. Some had high cultivation, and some had low cultivation. Lu Ming and the others immediately set off for the lair of Zulong. A few days later, they arrived at the lair of Zulong and gathered at a huge square under the mountain where ancestral Gragon lived. There are so many auras of experts. How terrifying. Heavenly Emperor Hengyu and the others felt the auras of the experts on the mountain. Heavenly Emperor Hengyu and the others were shocked. Ha ha ha, it's been so many years. I'm here again. Dandan grinned. Dandan, you used to come here often? Lu Ming asked. Of course. I'm just an ordinary person. Unfortunately, I've only seen Senior Ancestral Gragon once. Dandan said. I really want to see Senior Ancestral Gragon's glory. A supreme expert who has surpassed the Heavenly Emperor. A legendary figure. Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others were also very excited. As they chatted, more and more people gathered. Lu Ming saw many acquaintances. For example, Tian Ming, Bao De, and the 9 fatalities of the heavenly domain, Lin Xiaofan, Fu Lu, and the others. These were all geniuses. Lu Ming also saw some powerhouses. There were heavenly emperors and heavenly emperors. Is that the Titan Longhorn? Chapter 2460. Back then, before Lu Ming was captured by the foreign tribes, the Titan Longhorn beetle and the middle-aged man had helped him. Later, Lu Ming learned from Dandan that the middle-aged man was one of the top 10 battle beasts, the 9 Lives Demon Silkworm. Old Bull, 9 Lives, you're here too. Come and greet me. Dandan shouted at the Titan Longhorn beetle and the 9 Lives Demon Silkworm. The Titan Longhorn beetle and the 9 Lives Demon Silkworm glanced at Dandan, then stepped forward. Greetings, seniors. Huang Ling, Long Chen, and even the Hengyu Celestial Emperor hurriedly bowed. They knew that these two were 2 of the top 10 battle beasts, so they naturally did not dare to slight them. Each of the top 10 battle beasts was a terrifying existence, standing at the peak of the Celestial Emperor. In ancient times, other than the Chaos Emperor, the Immortal Emperor, and a few other invincible powerhouses, no one was a match for the top 10 battle beasts. Of course, except for those like the ancestral Gragon who had surpassed the Celestial Emperor. The Titan Longhorn beetle and the 9 Lives Demon Silkworm nodded, indicating that there was no need for formalities. Old Bull, aren't you guarding a void passage in the primordial realm? Why are you here? Dandan asked casually. Senior Ancestral Gragon sent someone to ask me to come here. There are already people guarding there. The Titan Longhorn beetle replied, then glared and said, Old Turtle, you know a lot of secrets. Do you know why the Ancestral Gragon has gathered us here this time? It should be related to the Yellow Springs Mountain, right? Dandan rolled her eyes and said. Yellow Springs Mountain? Could it be that looming mountain on the Yellow Springs River? The Titan longhorn beetle, the 9 lives demon silkworm, and the others were puzzled. It should be, but I'm not very sure about the specifics. Dandan frowned. Huh, what a coincidence today. At this moment, a loud laugh was heard. Then, a golden light flashed, and a big man with messy hair appeared in the air. Brother Qing Tsang. Lu Ming smiled. The person who came was the 9-headed golden lion, Qing Tsang. Old lion, so you're not dead. When it saw Qing Tsang and the Titan longhorn beetle, it glared at them. Nonsense. Even an old bull like you isn't dead, so how could I die? Qing Tsang also glared at Dandan and said, also, this evil old tortoise is still alive, so how can I die? Hey, what did you say? Watch your mouth. Dandan was furious, and his eyes were wide open. Dandan, what atrocities have you done in the past? Lu Ming asked curiously. Bah! What do you mean by offending the heavens and reason? They are framing. Dandan's eyes were even bigger than the Titan longhorn beetle's. Slander? Who would rob other people's ancestral tombs every day? Once, I even stole it from the undying sovereign and was taught a lesson by the undying sovereign. I was almost turned into a roasted turtle. Qing Tsang said disdainfully. Lu Ming finally understood why Dandan couldn't get the indestructible ancient scripture when it appeared. It turned out that this guy had robbed the undying sovereign's ancestral tombs before. It was already nice of him not to kill him. This guy was indeed unreliable. Wait, what's his name? Dandan? Ha ha ha. The Titan longhorn beetle said and laughed crazily. Dandan? Eggy? Ha ha ha. Qing Tsang also laughed. Even the 9 lives demonic silkworm couldn't help but laugh. As for Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others, they wanted to laugh but didn't dare to. You, Dandan was furious and stomped its feet. Many people around looked at them. Some of them recognized Qing Tsang, the Titan longhorn beetle, and the others and were shocked. They were all the top 10 battle beasts in the ancient times, and now, many of them were gathered together. The 9-headed golden lion, the Titan longhorn beetle, the 9 lives demonic silkworm, the divine turtle of the world, and the spacetime spirit mouse. There were 5 of them. This is, the spacetime spirit mouse? So, back then. After laughing for a while, Qing Tsang looked at Bubbles and sighed. The Titan longhorn beetle and the 9 lives demonic silkworm stopped laughing and looked a little sad. I was captured by the foreign races in the battle back then. I wonder how the others are doing? Qing Tsang asked. The battle back then was too tragic. The 9 lives demonic silkworm and I were seriously injured and haven't recovered after so many years. The old turtle's injuries were even worse. You were captured, and only the 5-element Qilint's injuries were better. He has been by the ancestral dragon's side all these years. The Titan longhorn beetle sighed. The 9 dragons died in the primordial realm. The Holy Spirit ant, the immortal heavenly phoenix, and the immemorial dragonesque elephant all died. The spacetime spirit mouse was even worse. Even her corpse was used by the foreign races. The 9 lives demonic silkworm also sighed. Even the Dandan's eyes were a little sad. In ancient times, the top 10 battle beasts were so glorious. Although there were some conflicts and grudges between them back then, those grudges had long disappeared after the ancient war. Now, only the few of them were left. By the side, Lu Ming also secretly sighed. The more he knew, the more he could imagine how tragic the battle back then was. Too many experts had died in the battle. Even the powerful Hunyuan sect had almost been destroyed. During this period, Lu Ming learned from Tu Yi, Lei Yi, and the others. The Hunyuan sect had once ruled the Hunyuan heavenly domain in ancient times and was extremely powerful. Under the Hunyuan sect, there were 9 great halls. For example, the Hunyuan sect was one of the 9 great halls. There was also the spacetime spirit mouse of the previous generation was the hall master. Almost all of the hall masters of the 9 great halls were peak heavenly emperors, but the Chaos Emperor was the leader of the 9 great halls. And the Hunyuan sect's sect master was a terrifying figure, not weaker than the Chaos Emperor. Even such a powerful force had been annihilated in the battle back then. The 9 great hall masters and the Hunyuan sect master all died in battle. Only the Chaos Hall still had some puppets left. As for the Hunyuan sect's headquarters, there were no experts left behind, only the formation spirit inside. The one who arranged for Lu Ming and the others to enter the Hunyuan sect's assessment was the formation spirit. He had already understood these things from 2E and the others. Everyone was chatting. At this time, thousands of people had gathered in the square. Suddenly, there was a flash of light from the mountain, and a few figures flew out. The person in the lead was Ancestral Gragon. Behind Ancestral Gragon followed a few people, and a few of them were the 5 elements Chilants. The other one had an unfathomable aura, and was obviously an extremely terrifying expert. Ancestral Gragon flew out and stood in the air. His body emitted a supreme aura, and even the heavenly Tao was suppressed. Although most people had never seen Ancestral Gragon before, they all understood that this was Ancestral Gragon when they felt this aura. Greetings, Senior Ancestral Gragon. Thousands of people bowed respectfully. No need for formalities. Ancestral Gragon waved his hand, and everyone felt a force supporting them, allowing them to stand up. Even peak heavenly emperors found it difficult to resist. I believe you are all very curious why I suddenly summoned you here this time, right? Chapter 2461. Everyone was startled. Was the Ancestral Gragon finally going to tell them the purpose of gathering them? They were curious too. The Ancestral Gragon pondered for a moment and said, "There are a few aspects involved in this. Firstly, the existence that surpasses the Heavenly Emperor realm. Many people call my cultivation the Supreme Realm or the Ancestor Realm. In fact, this realm is called the Martial God Realm, the realm above the Martial Emperor Realm." The Ancestral Gragon said. Martial God. Many people were startled and their eyes lit up. It turned out that the realm above the Martial Emperor Realm was the Martial God Realm. God, divine spirit, so there really are divine spirits in this world. Especially Qing Tsang and the other peak heavenly emperors, their eyes were filled with yearning. They were already standing at the peak of the Heavenly Emperor Realm. The next step was to break through to the Martial God Realm, surpassing the Heavenly Tao and not being bound by it. As the crowd's imagination ran wild, the Ancestral Gragon began to explain, in the ancient era, there were 4 martial gods in the Heavenly Realm and the Fiend God Realm. I, the owner of the Suppressing Prison Steel, am the ancestor of the Suppressing Prison Steel. There was also a divine ancestor of the foreign tribes. The last one was called Divine Ancestor Sha Xian. The 4 martial gods were divided into 2 factions. The ancestor and I were good friends, while Divine Ancestor Sha Xian and the foreign tribe's Divine Ancestor were together. They wanted to invade the heavenly realm and destroy the human race and the divine beasts. That was how the ancient war began. There were 2 martial gods on each side. The crowd was startled and listened attentively. They knew that they were about to learn some ancient secrets. The battle was extremely intense. The 4 of us fought for 100 years in the Dark Rift. In the end, the hell-crushing progenitor and the sacred ancestor Killer Heart perished together. The Ancestral Gragon continued. The people of the Suppressing Prison Steel were dejected. The foreign tribe's divine ancestor and I were both injured. Our origin force was injured and even now, it has not recovered. We have been recuperating for the past few years. The foreign tribes did not dare to attack because they were wary of me. The Ancestral Gragon continued. The crowd came to a realization. Although the foreign tribe's overall strength was strong, it was normal that the martial gods did not have the upper hand. The ancestral Gragon did not say why the foreign tribes attacked the heavenly realm. At this moment, Lu Ming thought of a problem. This was a question that he had always been perplexed about, but since ancestral Gragon did not mention it, he did not ask. However, the situation has changed. Sacred ancestor Xiaofan is still alive. Ancestral Gragon continued. What? Apart from Lu Ming and a few others, the rest of the people were shocked, their faces full of shock. Saint Ancestor Xiaofan was not dead? Didn't that mean the evil god realm had two martial gods? On the other hand, they only had a single martial god on their side. How were they supposed to fight them? If that was the case, the heaven realm would not be a match for the foreign races. The overall strength of the foreign tribes was already stronger than the heaven realm. With the addition of the two martial gods, wouldn't the heaven realm be destroyed? Some people's eyes were filled with despair. However, even though Saint Ancestor Xiaofan is still alive, he was severely injured in the battle against the Hell-Crusher progenitor, leaving only a strand of his bloodline behind. This is related to what I'm about to tell you, the Yellow Spring Mountain. Ancestral Gragon continued. Yellow Springs Mountain? Many people were stunned. Yes, the Yellow Springs Mountain. I believe many of you have seen or heard of it. Outside Two World City, the space cracked and the Yellow Springs River appeared. At the end of the Yellow Springs River, there is a looming mountain. That is the Yellow Springs Mountain. The Yellow Springs Mountain is an extremely secretive place. Even I have never been there. Ancestral Gragon said. Everyone was shocked. As a martial god expert who had transcended the heavenly path, the ancestral Gragon should be an invincible figure in the world. In the hearts of the people, he should be an omniscient figure. However, even the ancestral Gragon had never been there. What kind of place was it? I have only read a few records from some extremely ancient books. Legend has it that the Yellow Springs Mountain is not from the heaven realm, the primordial realm, or the evil god realm. It is from beyond the heavens. Ancestral Gragon said. Beyond the heavens? Many people were dumbfounded. Beyond the heavens? What did that mean? Could there be other worlds apart from the primordial realm, the heaven realm, and the evil god realm? Beyond the heavens? Dandan whispered, frowning as if he knew something. Beyond the heavens? Bubbles whispered, her eyes filled with doubt. Bubbles, what do you know? Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bubbles. I don't know. Some images seem to appear in my mind, but I can't see them clearly. Bubbles said. Lu Ming was puzzled. Dandan glanced at Bubbles but did not say anything. Senior, what's beyond the heavens? Someone could not help but ask. Beyond the heavens? Ancestral Gragon raised his head to look at the sky. A look of reminiscence flashed in his eyes. After a while, he said, it's a vast place. We'll talk about it later. Let's talk about the Yellow Springs Mountain first. Legend has it that the Yellow Springs Mountain is from beyond the heavens. It is extremely ancient and mysterious. Usually, it is shrouded in a layer of restriction. Even I can't enter. However, it's not impossible to enter forever. Legend has it that every 10,000 tribulations, the restriction of the Yellow Springs Mountain will be activated once. At that time, one can enter. Everyone was even more shocked. If even the ancestral Gragon could not enter, who else could? Also, the 10,000 tribulations would be activated once. How long would the 10,000 tribulations be? Each tribulation was 333,333 years. Wouldn't the 10,000 tribulations be more than 3 billion years? Everyone looked at each other. According to the ancient records, the Yellow Springs Mountain is like a world of its own. It contains countless treasures. Treasures of the heavenly path weapon level can be seen everywhere. Some treasures even have heaven-defying effects. No matter how serious the injuries are, they can be healed very quickly. This time, the Yellow Springs Mountain is about to open. That's why there are so many strange phenomena. The foreign tribe's divine ancestor has been waiting for this opportunity. He wants to bring divine ancestor Xiaofan into the Yellow Springs Mountain to obtain opportunities. Not only will his injuries be healed, but divine ancestor Xiaofan's injuries will also be healed. If that's the case, we won't be able to stop them. That's why I've gathered all of you here this time to bring you into the Yellow Springs Mountain. First, you can stop the foreign tribe. Second, you can obtain opportunities yourself. If you can obtain the great opportunities inside, your cultivation base will probably improve by leaps and bounds. Ancestral Gragon explained. The crowd came to a realization. It turned out that this was the reason why the Ancestral Gragon had gathered them. Stopping the foreign tribe so that they could obtain opportunities to improve their cultivation. Most of you are fortunate. You will have a higher chance of obtaining the fortunate encounters inside. However, I have to remind you that the Yellow Springs Mountain is extremely dangerous. This time, many of the foreign tribe's people will enter the mountain too. That's for sure. Besides, the Yellow Springs Mountain is boundless. According to the ancient records, its size is unimaginable. I'm afraid it's no smaller than the 9 heavens domain of the heaven realm combined. Besides, there are countless living beings in it, including humans and other tribes. They have established their own kingdoms and are extremely prosperous. There are even martial gods in it. Ancestral Gragon warned with a stern expression. What? Chapter 2462. Everyone was dumbfounded by the Ancestral Gragon's words. The Yellow Spring Mountain was boundless. Its area was comparable to the 9 heavens domain of the heaven realm. It was filled with various living creatures that formed kingdoms. There were even martial god realm experts in each kingdom. This was too inconceivable. The inside of the Yellow Springs Mountain was like another heaven realm or evil god realm. However, don't worry. No living creature in the Yellow Spring Mountain, no matter how strong they are, even martial gods will not be able to come out. They will never be able to come out. Legend has it that the people of the Yellow Spring Mountain are cursed. They will be trapped in the Yellow Spring Mountain for generations to come. In fact, there are places in the Yellow Spring Mountain where the cursed living creatures are unable to enter. Only those who are not cursed can enter. Therefore, this is our chance. The Ancestral Gragon continued to speak. Different thoughts crossed the minds of the crowd. Therefore, even though there are great fortunate encounters in the Yellow Spring Mountain, it's extremely dangerous too. Not only will we have to face the foreign tribes and fight them, we might even have to fight the living creatures in the Yellow Spring Mountain. Therefore, I won't force you. Those who want to leave can leave now. The Ancestral Gragon's voice echoed across the place. However, no one left. According to the Ancestral Gragon, the Yellow Spring Mountain came from beyond the heavens. It was extremely mysterious and had many treasures. Even martial gods had their eyes on it. Even the Ancestral Gragon had never entered the mountain. It would only open once every 10,000 tribulations. Although it was accompanied by danger, since when was there no danger on the path of cultivation? Even if they did not enter the mountain, they would still die if the martial gods of the foreign tribes recovered and attacked the heaven realm. They might as well go in and risk their lives. Alright, if that's the case, we'll go in. The Ancestral Gragon announced. They couldn't bring too many people in. Otherwise, if they went in and the foreign races attacked, wouldn't they be finished? It was the same for the foreign tribes. They would not dare to send too many people in. However, you must remember a few things after entering the mountain. Firstly, kill any foreign tribes you see. Secondly, try your best to find places that the living creatures of the Yellow Spring Mountain can't enter. Those places have a high chance of having fortunate encounters. Third, remember to borrow power. Sometimes, you can borrow the power of the creatures in the Yellow Springs Mountain to kill the alien tribes. If you can borrow the power of the martial god realm experts in the Yellow Springs Mountain to kill the alien tribe's Saint Ancestor and Saint Ancestor Xiaofan, you can protect the Heaven Realm. Ancestral Gragon seriously warned. Everyone nodded and agreed in unison. Of course, I've never been inside. All of this is what I've read from extremely ancient books. The 10,000 tribulations have already passed. I don't know what changes have happened inside Yellow Springs Mountain. Therefore, after entering, the most important thing is to act according to the circumstances. Alright, Yellow Springs Mountain will open in a month's time. You can gather here in a month's time. I'm afraid it will take a long time before you come out. If you have anything to do, make the necessary arrangements. Ancestral Dragon instructed. Yes. Everyone accepted the order and left the place. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing left this place, intending to bid farewell to Li Ping and Lu Yuntian. This trip would take a long time, and if the Ancestral Gragon said it would take a long time, then it must be true. Moreover, Lu Ming wouldn't miss this trip. Lu Ming wanted to improve quickly and cultivate step by step, but that wouldn't do. It was too slow. Moreover, the improvement of his cultivation required too many resources. The resources he had on him weren't enough for him to improve. This trip to Yellow Springs Mountain might be an opportunity. When they returned to Celestial City, they bid farewell to Li Ping and Lu Yuntian, saying that they would be going into seclusion for a period of time. Lu Shenhuang, Mu Wanxian, Lu Qi, and the others would stay in Celestial City to accompany Li Ping and the others. A month passed in a hurry. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing returned to the square in Lair of Zulong. Everyone was gathered again. Ancestral Gragon stood in the air. With a wave of his hand, a small boat emerged and then rapidly expanded. This is, the heaven-piercing battleship? No, it's not the one with the primordial physique cultivators. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He found that the small boat that Ancestral Gragon took out was very similar to the heaven-piercing battleship used by the primordial physique cultivators in the past. It could float on the Yellow Springs River. The primordial physique cultivators once said that the heaven-piercing battleship was found in a ruin by their ancestors. A treasure that can withstand the water of the Yellow Springs. Could it be from Yellow Springs Mountain? Lu Ming thought. This ship is called the heaven-piercing battleship. All of you, get on. If you want to enter Yellow Springs Mountain, you must use this treasure to cross the Yellow Springs River. Ancestral Gragon said. Yes. Immediately, thousands of people rose into the air and flew toward the battleship. It's really called the heaven-piercing battleship. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. He took Xian Yanqing's little hand and flew toward the heaven-piercing battleship. The heaven-piercing battleship was very large. Thousands of people could only occupy a small space. After everyone entered the heaven-piercing battleship, it quickly shrank and was put away by Ancestral Gragon. Then, Ancestral Gragon took a step and disappeared from the lair of Zulong. The next moment, the space outside the battlefield of Two Worlds City trembled, and Ancestral Gragon's figure appeared. His speed was incredible. Moke. Ancestral Gragon looked ahead. The space in front of him trembled, and a figure appeared. It was the divine ancestor of the other tribes, Moke. Ancestral Gragon, this time, you will definitely lose. Xiaofan and I will recover in Yellow Springs Mountain, and then we will take your head. Mo, the outsider's sacred ancestor, said coldly. Let's see who will have the last laugh. Ancestral Gragon replied coldly. He took a step forward and rushed into the space crack. When he arrived above the Yellow Springs River, he waved his hand. The heaven-piercing battleship rapidly enlarged and landed on the Yellow Springs River. Ancestral Gragon landed on the deck of the heaven-piercing battleship. At the same time, the divine ancestor of the other tribes also entered the Yellow Springs River. He took out a battleship that was very similar to the heaven-piercing battleship and landed on the Yellow Springs River. The two battleships moved side by side toward the front of the Yellow Springs River. The experts of both sides sized each other up, and sparks flew when they clashed. The first prince, Kong Duo, Lu Ming, saw a few extremely talented people on the longevity roll of the other tribes on the alien tribe's battleship. The top few on the longevity roll of the other tribes were all there. Clearly, the divine ancestor of the other tribes had the same idea as Ancestral Gragon. He chose those who entered Yellow Springs Mountain not based on their cultivation, but on their luck. The stronger the luck, the more likely they would be able to obtain fortuitous encounters and even kill their opponents. The two sides did not make a move. If they did, both sides would be injured. No one was confident in winning. The two battleships continued to move forward. In front of the Yellow Springs River was a looming mountain that seemed incomparably far away. They had been traveling for 3 months, but they still had not reached the end of the Yellow Springs River. Moreover, the mountain was still in front of them, and they did not know how far it was. Soon. At that moment, Ancestral Gragon spoke. Everyone was shocked. Were they finally there? Look, the mountain is gone. Oh no, there's a vortex in front. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. In front of them, the mountain was gone, and in its place was a huge vortex. All the water of the Yellow Springs flowed into the vortex. Chapter 2463. At the end of the Yellow Springs River was a huge whirlpool. The huge sky-reaching battleship was like an ant in front of the whirlpool. Rumble. A deafening rumble was heard. The current was too strong, forming a terrifying suction force that acted on the sky-reaching battleship, trying to suck it in. Oh no, let's go. Many people's expressions changed drastically. They wanted to soar into the sky and leave this place. The Yellow Springs water was terrifying. Even a heavenly emperor would be in danger if he was sucked in. Those below the heavenly emperor level would definitely die. If they were sucked into the whirlpool, they would be dead meat. Stay calm. Only through this whirlpool can we enter the Yellow Springs Mountain. At this moment, the Ancestral Gragon shouted. His voice was like a bell that struck everyone's hearts. Everyone tried their best to calm down. The Ancestral Gragon would not harm them. There was a commotion on the side of the foreign races, but it was suppressed by the foreign race's divine ancestor. Rumble. The two sky-reaching battleships were sucked into the whirlpool by the Yellow Springs water and disappeared. Lu Ming and the others felt a terrifying pressure pressing down on them. Their surroundings were pitch black. They could not see anything at all. They could not even hear a sound. It was silent all around. Splash. In the next moment, they seemed to have passed through something. The light around them suddenly brightened. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes widened. He had a shocking discovery. At this moment, they were high up in the sky. They were not on the sky-reaching battleship. They did not know where the sky-reaching battleship had gone. All of them, including the foreign races, were in the sky. They were being thrown down by an extremely powerful force. Even the current Lu Ming could not contend with this force. Below them was a large mountain. They were descending toward that mountain. At first, the mountain didn't look that big. However, as they got closer to it, the mountain looked bigger and bigger. All of them were deviating from the direction they were going. They were getting further and further away from each other. Xiao Qing, Lu Ming saw Xian Yanqing, Dandan, Bubbles, and the others getting further and further away from him. They were flying to different parts of the mountain. They were falling faster and faster because a terrifying gravitational force was coming from the mountain. What a huge mountain! The closer he got to the mountain, the more Lu Ming realized how huge, terrifying, and majestic the mountain was. When they looked from afar, they didn't see anything. However, when they got closer, they realized that every single protrusion or flat piece of land on this mountain was a vast and boundless plain. Big, it was too big. This mountain was really like a huge world. As they got closer, they could even see large rivers and huge cities. All of them had landed in different locations. Lu Ming could no longer see Xianyanqing, Dandan, and the others. When he looked up, he could only see a few figures. They were also very far away from him. Whoosh! Lu Ming landed on the edge of the mountain. As he got closer, Lu Ming discovered that there was a dense forest below, stretching as far as the eye could see. A terrifying gravitational force pulled Lu Ming towards the forest. What a terrifying gravitational force! The gravitational force on this mountain is thousands of times stronger than the outside world. Lu Ming was shocked. He channeled the power of the world to stabilize his body and landed in the forest. Boom! Lu Ming landed heavily in a part of the forest, creating a huge pit in the ground. The powerful shock wave shattered the surrounding ancient trees into smithereens. Phew, Lu Ming let out a long breath. He had finally arrived at Yellow Spring Mountain. The Origin Chi here. No, this isn't Origin Chi. In the next moment, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He realized that the world here was filled with a type of energy. It wasn't Origin Chi, but a type of energy that was of a higher grade. The quality was higher than Origin Chi. Moreover, he could absorb and refine it. The effect was at least 10 times better than Origin Chi. This, Lu Ming was shocked. This meant that his cultivation speed here was much faster than in the outside world. Although it might not be 10 times faster, it was at least 5 times faster. What is the origin of this Yellow Spring Mountain? Why is the cultivation condition so much better than the heaven realm? Lu Ming's imagination ran wild. Swoosh! Swoosh! At this moment, lights and shadows flashed in the surroundings. In the next moment, many figures appeared and surrounded Lu Ming. Humans. At the sight of these figures, Lu Ming was shocked. These figures were all humans. There were more than 30 of them. Moreover, their cultivation was shockingly high. They were all great emperors. More than 30 great emperors appeared. Even in the heaven realm, this was a powerful force. More than 30 of them stared at Lu Ming with murderous intent. They gritted their teeth and wanted to tear Lu Ming into pieces. Lu Ming was confused. He had just arrived and he didn't offend these people. Why were they looking at him with such a fierce face? In particular, there was a young woman who looked like a flower. At this moment, she was looking at Lu Ming with resentment as if Lu Ming had done something outrageous. Kid, who are you? Why did you ruin our plan to capture the Jade Blood Fox? A burly man glared at Lu Ming, emitting a powerful aura. He was a 5-star great emperor and was very strong. Ruin your plan to capture the Jade Blood Fox? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He didn't do that. He had just arrived. You still want to play dumb? We spent 3 months to lure the Jade Blood Fox here. Just when we were about to catch it, you descended from the sky and caused such a big commotion, scaring the Jade Blood Fox away. Are you still not going to admit it? The woman glared at Lu Ming with hatred, gritting her teeth as she spoke. Lu Ming finally understood. He had just descended from the sky, and the other party happened to be trying to capture the Jade Blood Fox and was scared away by him. This was too much of a coincidence. Lu Ming smiled bitterly, speechless. Everyone, I really didn't do it on purpose. I'm willing to compensate for your losses. Lu Ming said. Compensation? How are you going to compensate? The jade blood fox is extremely rare and difficult to capture. Can you even capture one? The young woman continued to speak with hatred. Young miss, why bother talking nonsense with him? I think he was sent by Mayo to ruin our plan to capture the jade blood fox. The 5-star Great Emperor said angrily. That's right. He must have been sent by Mayo. That must be it. He doesn't want us to cure the patriarch. The others also roared in anger. In my opinion, let's take him down and interrogate him. A gray-haired old man dashed toward Lu Ming. He grabbed Lu Ming with his big hand and a huge claw grabbed at Lu Ming. This old man was a 2-star Great Emperor. This kind of cultivation system. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Then, he gathered a little strength and pointed his finger. Chapter 2464. Bang! Lu Ming's finger landed on the claw of the woman. Following a loud explosion, the woman's figure shuddered violently and was sent flying backward with a pale face. This cultivation method is similar to the atavistic cultivation system, but it's not. It's more similar to Xiao Qing's cultivation method, but it's not as refined as Xiao Qing's. Lu Ming's mind was racing. This kid is quite capable. I'll take him down. A middle-aged woman spoke. The middle-aged woman had a bulky appearance. She was using a huge saber that was even faster than her hand. Whoosh! Whoosh! The middle-aged woman made her move. She lunged at Lu Ming and slashed a few hundred times in an instant. The brilliant saber glows were aiming to eliminate Lu Ming's figure. Each saber glow was filled with pure, unbreakable force. There was no sign of any rules or great Tao. Lu Ming's figure shuttled through the saber glows like a butterfly, trying to sense his opponent's cultivation method. The middle-aged woman possessed a cultivation of the 4-star martial monarch realm. Her expression changed as she let out a roar and unleashed all her strength, slashing at Lu Ming with her saber. However, she could not even touch the corner of Lu Ming's clothes. Lu Ming was always able to dodge her attacks. The others straightened their faces. Let's attack together and take him down. The 5-star martial monarch said. This person's cultivation was the highest among the group of people. The strength that Lu Ming had displayed was too powerful. Even a 4-star martial monarch was fooled by him. Even if he were to attack in person, he would not be able to defeat Lu Ming, thus he had asked everyone to attack together. Attack! Dai uttered a roar and took the lead to charge at Lu Ming. He lashed out with a tremendous force. Meanwhile, the other cultivators attacked too. That being said, the young woman was the only exception. She did not possess a cultivation of the martial monarch realm. The combined attacks of over 30 martial monarchs were incredibly powerful. Various attacks were launched at Lu Ming from all directions. Let's stop here. Lu Ming murmured. A purple golden glow flickered on his body as Lu Ming lashed out over 30 palms in an instant. Bang! Bang! Over 30 explosions took place consecutively. Over 30 figures were knocked back. Their faces turned pale as they stared at Lu Ming in astonishment. Lu Ming had knocked them back instantly with a single move. They understood that Lu Ming was too powerful. He was far above them. Lu Ming had shown mercy earlier. Otherwise, they would have died. That young woman's eyes were brimming with tears. She stared at Lu Ming and said, "Mou, why are you so ruthless? My father is already seriously injured. Aren't you going to let us treat him? Did you catch that jade blood fox to treat someone's injuries?" Lu Ming asked rhetorically. "You're still pretending? Don't you know that Mou sent you here? Mayo injured my father. Only the blood of the jade blood fox can heal my father's injuries. the young woman said. The burly man and the others cautiously surrounded the young woman to prevent Lu Ming from attacking her. Where is the jade blood fox? Maybe I can help you catch it. Lu Ming rubbed his nose. After all, he was the one who disturbed them from catching the jade blood fox. He felt a little embarrassed. Moreover, if he could help them catch the jade blood fox, he would definitely win their favor. Lu Ming was new here. He needed to ask the people of Yellow Springs Mountain for information. You'll help us? Although your cultivation base is high, it's impossible for you to catch a jade blood fox. Jade blood foxes come and go without a trace. They don't have a fixed residence, and they're extremely fast. It's very difficult to find them unless you use jade blood grass to lure them out. But jade blood grass is too rare. Do you know how much effort it took us to buy one? Where can we get jade blood grass now? The young woman was on the verge of tears. She looked at Lu Ming with resentment. What? Jade blood grass? Rare? Lu Ming was stunned. He remembered that there was also a kind of spirit grass called jade blood grass in Heaven Realm. Although it wasn't common, it was very common. Lu Ming had at least a few hundred stalks. Was it just the same name? Lu Ming was a little uncertain. Miss, are you talking about this kind of jade blood grass? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. A spirit grass appeared in his hand and he showed it to the young woman. The young woman and the others widened their eyes. Jade blood grass? You have jade blood grass too? You. Can you sell this jade blood grass to us? The young woman said and stuck out her tongue. She cursed herself for being stupid. Why would he sell them the jade blood grass if he was here to stop them from catching the jade blood fox? Maybe he was here to annoy them? Thoughts flashed through the young woman's mind. But in the next moment, her eyes suddenly widened. Because in Lu Ming's hand, a bunch of jade blood grass appeared. There were dozens of them. So many? How is that possible? The young woman was dumbfounded. The others weren't any better. Although jade blood grass wasn't a particularly high-level spirit grass, it was very rare. They had spent a lot of effort to buy one and they had already used it. But Lu Ming took out dozens of them at once, making them think that they were dreaming. There's no need to sell it. Since I disturbed you from catching the jade blood fox, I should atone for my sins by helping you catch it. Lu Ming said with a smile. Are you really going to help us? Are you really not sent by Mayo? The young woman asked. Of course not. I really didn't mean to fall here. I was fighting with an enemy in the sky and was blown down by him. Lu Ming lied. I see. It seems that we have wronged you. I'm sorry. The young woman stuck out her tongue and smiled. She was very cute. Then let's begin. How should we use the jade blood grass? Lu Ming asked. Just light it up. When the jade blood grass is lit, it will emit a strange smell that can attract the jade blood fox. But we have to change places. The jade blood fox is very cautious. I'm afraid it won't come a second time. Let's go to the front. The young woman said. Okay. Lu Ming nodded and soared into the air. The gravity here was too strong. It was a few thousand times that of the celestial realm, so flying here was a few thousand times more strenuous. Naturally, their speed was much slower. The young woman and more than 30 people also rose into the air and followed Lu Ming. I'm Su Rong. What's your name? The young woman asked on the way. Lu Ming. Lu Ming replied. In a short while, they flew tens of thousands of miles away, intending to catch the jade blood fox. Lu Ming ignited 10 stalks of jade blood grass. Su Rong and the others felt their hearts ache when they saw that. The jade blood grass emitted a strange smell that drifted far away. Chapter 2465. The jade blood grass was very resistant to fire and burned very slowly. A stalk of jade blood grass could burn for 10 days. They waited for 6 days. Suddenly, a red bolt of lightning flashed in the forest ahead, heading towards the burning jade blood grass at an astonishing speed. It was not lightning. Lu Ming could see clearly that it was a blood-red fox. It was very small, less than half a meter long. It's here. Su Rong's eyes lit up. Attack! The burly man shouted. Then, more than 30 people pounced on the jade blood fox from all directions, forming a circle. Asterisk squeak squeak squeak, asterisk the jade blood fox was frightened. It shrieked a few times and retreated like a bolt of lightning. Stop right there. In that direction, several great emperors shouted. Their power formed a large hand that grabbed at the jade blood fox. The jade blood fox tried to escape, but all the space was blocked. There was no way to escape. Asterisk squeak squeak, asterisk the jade blood fox shrieked and suddenly leaped. Its body turned into a sword light and rushed over. Asterisk puff. Asterisk one of the great emperor's large hand was directly pierced through by the jade blood fox. The jade blood fox turned into a bolt of lightning and rushed away. Not good. Chase after it. Su Rong shouted. The others also had ugly expressions. The jade blood fox did not match the rumors. It was rumored that the jade blood fox was very cautious and did not have a fixed residence. It came and went without a trace. Its speed was shocking, but its cultivation was not high. A great emperor was enough to deal with it. However, this jade blood fox could turn into a sword light and pierce through a great emperor's attack. This was something they did not expect. They chased madly, but the jade blood fox was faster than them. It was like a red bolt of lightning that was about to escape. This time, the jade blood fox was surrounded and fled. With its cautious personality, it would be very difficult to attract it. Su Rong was about to cry. At this moment, a figure rushed out at an extremely fast speed. It was even faster than the jade blood fox and disappeared in the blink of an eye. So fast, Su Rong and the others were stunned because the person who rushed out was Lu Ming. Hope rose in their hearts. They hoped that Lu Ming could catch it. They gritted their teeth and chased after it. Not long after, they saw Lu Ming in the air in front of them, holding a small fox in his hand that was struggling. It was the jade blood fox. I caught it. Su Rong jumped up in excitement. The others were also ecstatic. Fortunately, I didn't disappoint you. Lu Ming smiled and passed the jade blood fox to Su Rong. Lu Ming, thank you. Thank you so much this time. Su Rong was so excited that her face turned red. She quickly took the jade blood fox and stored it in a jade bottle. To heaven of a fox, Lu Ming, where are you going next? Su Rong asked. To tell you the truth, I was about to ask you. Where is this place? Lu Ming asked. You don't know where we are? Su Rong was curious. I'm actually from a faraway place. I was chased by someone and ran for my life. I don't even know where I've escaped to now. Lu Ming said with a wry smile. This is the 10 Directions forest of Fengming country. Our Su family is in Myeongchang, one of the major cities in Fengming country. Su Rong said. Fengming country? Great Myeongchang? Lu Ming whispered. The ancestral dragon said that there were thousands of countries in Yellow Springs Mountain. It seemed that it was true. Lu Ming, since you're not from here, why don't you come back to Myeongchang with us first and then think of a way to go back? Su Rong said. That's the only way. Lu Ming pretended to nod helplessly. Su Rong was overjoyed. Then, the group appeared and returned to Myeongchang. The 10 Directions forest was not very far from Myeongchang. It was only about 1,000,000 miles away. However, the flying speed here was much slower. It took them a few hours to arrive at Myeongchang. Myeongchang was a majestic city. It was very huge. Even in the vast Fengming country, it could be ranked in the top 20. On the way, Lu Ming also learned from Su Rong how her father was injured. Her father challenged a person named Mayo and was injured by the other party. Mayo was the bodyguard of one of the commanders in Fengming country. Along the way, Su Rong chattered a lot with Lu Ming. Fengming country advocated military strength and ruled the country with military strength. There were 13 commanders under the monarch of Fengming country. Each of them led an army and guarded a region. They were all extremely powerful existences. Myeongchang country was under the rule of one of the commanders. There were 18 bodyguards under this commander. Mayo was one of the bodyguards under this commander. He was very powerful. However, there was a rule in Fengming country. All positions were based on strength. One could also fight for them with strength. As long as one defeated the other party, one could replace the other party's position. For example, if one defeated or even killed Mayo, one could replace the other party's position and become the commander's bodyguard. One would be high above the masses and dominate the region. My father didn't covet the other party's position. He was forced by Mayo and had no choice but to challenge him. Su Rong sighed in the end. Oh? What's going on? Lu Ming asked. Mayo schemed and made my brother bet with him. In the end, he lost and owed a lot of debt. Even if I sold the entire Su family, I wouldn't be able to pay it back. Su Rong sighed. Lu Ming nodded. He roughly understood. The group walked through the city gate and walked in the direction of the Su family. So many races? Lu Ming was shocked as soon as he walked through the city gate. In the city, the streets were wide and crowded with people. However, there were not only humans but also other races. For example, there were races with horns on their heads that resembled humans. There were also races with long tails, and races with the upper body of a human but the lower body of a snake. These races were definitely not caused by the transformation of divine beasts. Instead, they were born this way. Lu Ming looked around and saw at least 4 or 5 races. These races did not exist in the heavenly realm, the primordial realm, or the evil god realm. The ancestral dragon said that the Yellow Spring Mountain came from beyond the heavens. Are these all races from beyond the heavens? Lu Ming thought. Then, he thought of the statue in the core of the Void's sacred island. That statue had a pair of wings on its back. It was also a race that he had never seen before. Was there any connection between them? However, Lu Ming found that the number of humans was still the largest. After walking around a few streets, a huge mansion appeared in front of them. This mansion was the Su family. However, at this moment, the outside of the Su family was surrounded by people. What's going on? Su Rong and the others' expressions changed and they quickly rushed over. It's Su Rong. Chapter 2466. Lu Ming and the others walked through the crowd and saw 2 groups of people confronting each other in front of the Su family's gate. One of the groups was led by a burly man in metal armor. His eyes flashed with a ferocious glint. Beside him was another group of experts in metal armor. They were from different races, and each of them had a powerful aura. They were all great emperors. Mayo! Su Rong shouted. The burly man heard the voice and looked over. When he saw Su Rong, he laughed. So it's the eldest daughter of the Su family. You're back at the right time. The burly man was Mayo. In front of Mou's group was another group of people. The person in the lead was a man who looked to be in his 60s. However, he was extremely weak and dispirited. His face was pale, and it was obvious that he was heavily injured. Rong, come here. The man in his 60s shouted. Father, how are you? Su Rong ran over and asked worriedly. The man was Su Rong's father, Xiao Yuan-san. I'm fine. I'm fine. Xiao Yuan-san said, but his face turned pale and he gasped for breath. Mayo, why are you here at the Su family again? Su Rong glared at Mayo. Why? Your brother owes me divine stones. He hasn't paid me back yet. Of course I'm here to collect the debt. Mayo sneered. When he looked at Su Rong, a fiery light flashed in the depths of his eyes. How many divine stones does my brother owe you? Mayo asked. 800,000 divine stones. Mayo said. You're talking nonsense. I only owe you 300,000. A young man beside Xiao Yuan-san shouted. That young man was Su Rong's brother, Su Feng. Don't you want interest? You've owed me for a year. Including the interest, it's 800,000. Mayo sneered. 500,000 in a year? Why don't you just rob someone? Su Rong shouted angrily. That's the rule here. It's right and proper to pay back what you owe. Hurry up and pay it back. Mayo scolded. 800,000 god stones. Even if I sell the entire Su family, it still won't be enough. Xiao Yuan-san said. Su Rong's eldest brother did not dare to speak. He lowered his head deeply. Not enough? Sure, Miss Su Rong is an outstanding beauty. You can give her to me. Your Su family and Miss Su Rong are more or less enough. As for the rest, I won't haggle over it. Mayo said. She looked at Su Rong with a burning gaze. Su Rong's face turned pale. You want to have any ideas about Rong, Don't even think about it. Xiao Yuan-san roared. Don't even think about it. Since you can't take it out, then don't blame me for being rude. Mayo said ferociously. A terrifying aura emanated from his body. Peak Great Emperor. Lu Ming squinted his eyes. Mayo's cultivation was at the peak of the Great Emperor realm. Mayo's subordinates also released a powerful aura that pressed down on the Su family. The people of the Su family were unable to resist at all, especially Su Yuanshan. He was suppressed by the other party's aura, and his body staggered backward. His face paled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Father. Su Rong was very worried. Su Yuanshan was already seriously injured. Adding injuries on top of injuries, he would be in danger if this continued. If you don't do as I say, the Su family will be destroyed today. Mayo said coldly. No one said anything. Fengming was a country founded on martial arts. Everything was based on martial arts. The strong stood at the top while the weak were like ants. It was very cruel. If the Su family was strong enough to kill Mayo, the commander would not say anything. Mayo, you'll die a horrible death. Su Rong cursed. Humph, who can kill me? Mayo said ferociously. Me. At this moment, a voice sounded and spread across the area. Many people were shocked. Who dared to say that he could kill Mayo? Mayo's eyes were filled with cold murderous intent. He followed the voice and looked at the person who spoke. In the end, his gaze fell on Lu Ming. The person who spoke was Lu Ming. Kid, you said, you want to kill me? Mayo said word by word. His murderous intent was as cold as a knife. He looked at Lu Ming as if he was looking at a dead man. Looks like you're not deaf. Lu Ming smiled faintly and said, I heard that as long as I challenge and defeat you, I can replace you and become the commander's guard. Hee, you want to become the commander's guard? You're quite ambitious. Let me tell you, it's true. Let's see if you have what it takes. Mayo said ferociously. Lu Ming, don't. Mayo is at the peak of the void transformation state and he's one of the most powerful cultivators at the peak of the void transformation state. Su Rong sent a message to Lu Ming. She was very worried. The void transformation state? Isn't he an emperor? Is the level division of the Yellow Spring Mountain different from the Heaven region and the Fiend God realm? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. However, it was not the time to ask for details. Mayo, I'm officially challenging you now. Do you dare to accept the challenge? Lu Ming said loudly. Lu Ming had his own plan. The local forces of the Yellow Spring Mountain were extremely powerful. There were even martial gods who wanted to obtain opportunities in the Yellow Spring Mountain and kill the alien races. They had to borrow the power of others. They had to borrow the power of the creatures in the Yellow Spring Mountain. This way, not only could they kill the alien races, but they could also obtain resources. It would be difficult for them to rely on themselves. He believed that the alien races would do the same. Now, it was time to see who was faster. He would first become the commander of the guards and then continue to climb up. When he had a certain amount of power in Fengming country, he could use the power of Fengming country to search for creatures from the Heaven region and the alien races. He could gather the creatures from the Heaven region, kill the alien races, and search for opportunities. It was killing many birds with one stone. Challenging Mayo? Many people in the surroundings were stunned. Xiao Yuansan and the others were also stunned. Lu Ming looked so young, but he wanted to challenge Mayo. He was too bold. Lu Ming, Su Rong looked worried. Although Lu Ming was powerful and had defeated more than 30 experts in one move, Mayo was at the peak of the void transformation state. Her subordinates were no match for her. You want to challenge me? Mayo's eyes flashed with a cold light. Why? You don't dare? Lu Ming said disdainfully. Ha ha ha, kid, why wouldn't I dare? However, let me see your strength. If you don't have any strength, I won't have the time to challenge you. Mayo sneered. Lord Guard, I'll test his strength. A burly man in iron armor walked out from behind Mayo. The burly man had a pair of horns on his head that were as sharp as a knife. All right, go ahead and try. You can kill him directly. Mayo said coldly. I understand. The bull-horned man said coldly. He then walked toward Lu Ming and a battle axe appeared in his hand. Kid, make your move. Whoosh. As soon as the bull-horned man finished speaking, Lu Ming moved. A spear light stabbed toward the bull-horned man at an extremely fast speed. Chapter 2467. Instant kill. Many people were stunned. The bull-horned man was at the 5th tier of the insightful void realm, but he was killed in an instant. When many people looked at Lu Ming, there was a chilliness in their eyes. It was completely different from before. The fact that Lu Ming could kill the bull-horned man in one move was enough to show that his combat strength was not to be underestimated. Mayo's eyes narrowed slightly, and a trace of seriousness flashed in them. Can I challenge you now? Lu Ming looked at Mayo. Not bad. Mayo's eyes flashed fiercely. He waved his hand, and a blood-red battle saber appeared in his hand, emitting the smell of blood. It was obvious that many people had died in Mayo's hands. Little brother, you have to make him take out his guard token. If you defeat him, you can become the commander of his guards. Xiao Yuansan reminded from the side. Humph, you think he can defeat me? Mayo snorted, but he still followed the rules and took out the guard token and stuck it on his belt. Make your move. Mayo said ferociously. You make the first move. I'll give you a chance to attack. Lu Ming said. What he meant was that once he made his move, Mayo would have no chance. Mayo's face turned ugly, and he said with a cold murderous intent, "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Bam! Mao's figure rushed toward Lu Ming like a bolt of lightning, and the battle saber in his hand slashed out violently. It was fast, accurate, and powerful. Lu Ming stood still, and the power of sovereign in his hand formed a long spear in front of him. Clang! Mao's battle saber stood on Lu Ming's long spear. Lu Ming's body was as steady as a mountain, and he did not move at all. The huge force made Mao's body tremble violently, and he was forced to retreat. His combat strength is indeed strong. Lu Ming's heart stirred. In the heaven realm, Mao's combat power was considered strong among the peak great emperors. In the same realm, there were differences in combat power. Mao was considered strong among the peak great emperors. However, in Lu Ming's eyes, it was nothing. At this moment, Mou was extremely shocked. He had used all his strength in that move, intending to kill Lu Ming in one move. However, in the end, Lu Ming did not move at all, and he was the one who was pushed back. At this moment, he understood that Lu Ming's strength was above his. "No, I can't just hand over the position of the guard to someone else." Mao roared in his heart. In Fengming country, there were a total of 13 commanders. Each of them commanded an army and oversaw a region. They held high positions and power. Every commander only had 18 guards under them. One could imagine how much power and authority this position held. It was not easy to come by, and he did not want to give it up. Whoosh! He turned around and ran. He actually ran away without a fight. "Since you've already accepted the challenge, don't you think it's too late to run away?" Lu Ming's cold voice resounded. His muscles twitched, and his body rushed towards Mao like lightning. The long spear in his hand pierced out at an extremely fast speed. Mao was shocked. He wanted to turn around and defend himself, but it was too late. Poof! The long spear pierced through Mao's head, killing him instantly. Mao's corpse fell heavily on the ground. His eyes were wide open, and he died with a grievance. He had come this time to take the Su family into his pocket, and at the same time, to take the beautiful young lady of the Su family under his crotch. He did not expect to lose his life here. Lu Ming reached out his hand, and the guard token on Mao's belt flew into his hand. Mao's subordinates were all terrified. They turned around and ran, scattering in all directions. Mao is dead. Su Rong, Xiao Yuan-san, and the others were stunned at first, then they were overjoyed. Mao was dead. The godstones that Su Rong's brother owed Mao were naturally gone. No one would cause trouble for them anymore. They were naturally happy. "Thank you, brother Lu Ming, for saving our lives." Xiao Yuan-san had already learned of Lu Ming's name from Su Rong. He came over to thank him. "You're welcome. I only helped because I wanted to be his guard." Lu Ming smiled, then held up the token in his hand and asked, "Senior, how do I use this token?" "That's simple. You just need to bring this badge to the Lord Commander. As long as the Lord Commander approves, you will naturally be able to inherit the position of the Guard Commander. Under normal circumstances, the Lord Commander will agree. That's because the stronger you are, the better it is for the Lord Commander." Xiao Yuan-san explained. Back when Mao forced the Su family, Xiao Yuan-san challenged Mao, hoping to defeat Mao and become his guard. That way, the Su family's crisis would be resolved. Unfortunately, he was no match for Mao. Instead, he was severely injured by Mao. "Father, it's all thanks to Lu Ming that we were able to catch the Jade Blood Fox," Su Rong said. "You caught the Jade Blood Fox?" Xiao Yuan-san was overjoyed, then solemnly thanked Lu Ming. Lu Ming was really the Su family's benefactor. First, he helped them catch the Jade Blood Fox, and then he killed Mao. If it weren't for Lu Ming, the Su family would really be finished. Naturally, he was very grateful to Lu Ming. "Brother Lu Ming, come in and have a seat. Servants, prepare the banquet." Xiao Yuansan welcomed Lu Ming into the Su family and ordered the servants to prepare the banquet. The onlookers also dispersed. All of this was not surprising to them. In Fengming country, such challenges were common. Not only did people challenge the commander's guard, but sometimes, people even challenged the commander. The Su family warmly welcomed Lu Ming as a guest of honor. After that, Lu Ming stayed with the Su family for a few days. He read a lot of information collected by the Su family and learned more about Yellow Spring Mountain. There were many races in Yellow Spring Mountain. There were dozens of races, big and small, such as the Minotaur race, the Scaled race, the Naga race, and so on. Moreover, the cultivation realm in Yellow Spring Mountain was very different from that in the Heaven realm. The first few realms were basically the same, but after reaching the Martial Emperor realm, it was very different. The Martial Emperor realm in Yellow Spring Mountain was divided into the Void Glimpse, True Void, Profound Void, and Transformation Void. Each realm was divided into 7 levels. They corresponded to the Void Emperor, True Emperor, Great Emperor, and Heavenly Emperor. For example, Mayo was at the peak of the Profound Void realm, the same as a peak Great Emperor. The creatures in Yellow Spring Mountain did not cultivate the laws or the Great Path. They did not even come into contact with the Heavenly Path. They cultivated pure power. Above the Transformation Void was the God realm, and they were called gods. This was the same as what the ancestral dragon said. The creatures here called Yellow Spring Mountain the Yellow Spring World. In the Yellow Spring World, there were hundreds of forces and countries of various sizes. They each occupied a territory and ruled over a region. Fengming was just a small country at the edge of the Yellow Spring World. In addition, Lu Ming also saw records about the Cursed Land. Chapter 2468. The Cursed Land. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The Cursed Land was the place they were looking for. The people of Yellow Springs Mountain couldn't enter because they were cursed for generations. However, outsiders could enter. There might be fortuitous opportunities inside. Moreover, what made Lu Ming happy was that there was a cursed land in Fengming country. It was in the capital of Fengming country. It seems like I made the right choice to be the guard commander. Lu Ming smiled. Lu Ming stayed with the Su family for 2 days. Under Su Rong's reluctant gaze, he bid farewell to them. Then, Lu Ming walked toward the governor's mansion in Myeongchang. The governor guarding this place was called Yi Yang. He was the most powerful person in Myeongchang. He ruled over dozens of cities and had millions of soldiers. The governor's mansion was in the center of Myeongchang. Not long after, a vast mansion appeared before Lu Ming's eyes. There was a team of burly men in iron armor guarding the entrance. "Who are you?" "Stop." Lu Ming was stopped as soon as he arrived. "I want to see Governor Yi Yang." The guard token appeared in Lu Ming's hand. The governor's guard token. The burly men guarding the door were shocked. They smiled and said, "So you have a guard token. Sir, please wait for a moment. We will report to the governor." Since Lu Ming had the guard token, it meant that he had defeated a guard and would most likely inherit the guard's position in the future. In that case, his status would be far above theirs. Naturally, they did not dare to offend Lu Ming. "All right." Lu Ming nodded. He put away the guard token and waited quietly. After a while, the burly men came out to report, "The governor wants to see you. Please follow me." Then, he turned around and walked inside. Lu Ming followed him into the governor's mansion. They walked through a few corridors and passed through a few courtyards before arriving at a large hall. At the entrance of the hall, the burly men didn't dare to enter. They gestured for Lu Ming to enter while he retreated. Lu Ming stepped inside. After entering the hall, he found that it was already filled with people. At the head of the table was a middle-aged man with a sinister face. His eyes were long and narrow. When he opened them, they gave off a cold feeling. However, what attracted Lu Ming's attention the most was the man's lower body. The lower body of the man was a snake tail. It was a snake man. His aura was extremely shocking. Sky Emperor. Lu Ming could sense right away that this person's cultivation level was a celestial emperor, which was the void transformation realm of the netherworld. On the two sides of the hall sat more than 10 people. There were men and women, old and middle-aged. All of them had powerful auras. They were all peak great monarchs. This must be the governor and his guards. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He stepped forward and cupped his fists. I am Lu Ming. Greetings, Lord Governor. You are the one who killed Mayo? Yi Yang asked from the head of the hall. That's right. Lu Ming nodded. Show me your guard token. Yi Yang said. Lu Ming nodded. With a wave of his hand, the guard token appeared in his hand. Lord Governor, may I take over the position of guard? Lu Ming asked. Ha ha ha, what a joke. You want to take over the position of guard? The one who spoke wasn't Yi Yang but a middle-aged burly man on the left. He had a pair of bull horns and his eyes were as big as copper bells. According to the rules, I killed Mayo and can take over his position. Why can't I take over the position of guard? Lu Ming asked. What a joke. I received news that you killed Mayo from behind. Otherwise, you won't be his match. Such a despicable person wants to take over the position of guard. What a joke. Now that you have the guts to come here, I will take revenge for Mayo today. The bull-masked burly man said coldly. He stepped forward and his powerful aura pressed down on Lu Ming. The bull-masked burly man was called Bin Bu. He had a good relationship with Mayo and he was the strongest among the 18 guards under Yi Yang. He received news that Mayo was killed by Lu Ming from behind. He was furious and wanted to take revenge for Mayo. He didn't expect Lu Ming to come knocking on his door. Yi Yang sat on the head of the hall with a cold smile. He didn't stop Bin Bu. He also received news that Mayo was stabbed to death by Lu Ming from behind. He also wanted to see if Lu Ming was capable or not. If he was not capable, he would be killed by Bin Bu for nothing. I'm afraid you are still too weak. Lu Ming glanced at Bin Bu casually. Lu Ming didn't care about a mere peak great emperor no matter how strong he was. A despicable person who only knows how to attack from behind. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Die. Whirlwind kill. A huge battle axe appeared in Bin Bu's hand. He swung the battle axe and charged towards Lu Ming. As he charged towards Lu Ming, Bin Bu spun rapidly with the battle axe in his hand. He was like a whirlwind as he charged towards Lu Ming with terrifying power. Whirlwind kill. It's the whirlwind kill. Brother Bin Bu used his killer move right from the start. That kid is finished. Not many in the profound void realm can match Brother Bin Bu's killer move. That kid is dead for sure. He will be ground into minced meat. The other guards sneered as if they were watching a show. They could almost see the scene of Lu Ming being ground to death. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming moved. He took a step forward and threw out a punch. The entire hall shook. Dong! Lu Ming's fist collided with Bin Bu's battle axe and there was a loud bang. Thereafter, Bin Bu's battle axe was sent flying far away. Then, there was a scream. Bin Bu's burly body was crushed by Lu Ming's fist force. He flew far away and landed heavily on the ground, vomiting blood. Bin Bu was severely injured in one move. In the main hall, gasps could be heard. The guards all widened their eyes in disbelief. Bin Bu was the strongest among them. But now, he was defeated by Lu Ming in one move even though he had used his killer move. Lu Ming's combat strength was shocking. They understood that Lu Ming didn't need a sneak attack to kill Mayo. Even if it was a head-on battle, he could easily kill Mayo. Just this little bit of combat strength? I thought you were strong. What a disappointment. Lu Ming shook his head and glanced at Bin Bu in disdain. Just now, he had shown mercy on account of Yi Yang. Otherwise, Bin Bu would definitely not be left with a single punch. Bin Bu was so angry that he vomited 2 more mouthfuls of blood. He was so ashamed that he wanted to die. Ha ha ha, good, good. You are Lu Ming, right? From now on, you will be my guard, the number 1 guard. Chapter 2469. Thank you, Commander. Lu Ming clasped his fists. All right, you'll stay in Mayo's residence from now on. If there's anything, feel free to tell me. Yi Yang said with a smile. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Congratulations, Guard Lu. Congratulations, Brother Lu. On the side, the other guards were all beaming as they congratulated Lu Ming. The situation was completely different from before. Now, Lu Ming had proven his strength and was valued by Yi Yang. Yi Yang called him the number 1 guard. Of course, they had to build a good relationship with Lu Ming. As for Blue, let him go. This world was always so realistic. Blue stood at the side with an ugly expression. After that, someone led Lu Ming to a place. After 2 rounds, they arrived in front of a residence. This residence was Mayo's former residence. Now, it belonged to Lu Ming. As soon as Lu Ming walked into the residence, he saw a group of people coming up to greet him. When they saw Lu Ming, they bowed. Greetings, Lord Guard. There were hundreds of people kowtowing to Lu Ming. Rise. Lu Ming nodded. These people were Mayo's former subordinates. Now, they were his subordinates. Lord Guard, what orders do you have? Someone looked at Lu Ming with a face full of smiles, showing a flattering expression. Go do what you need to do. Lu Ming waved his hand and dismissed the crowd. He found a room to stay in. Sitting cross-legged in the room, Lu Ming began to cultivate. Between heaven and earth, that mysterious energy constantly gathered towards Lu Ming. After a while, Lu Ming opened his eyes. The effect of the Enlightenment Ancient Tree is getting smaller and smaller in cultivation now. Lu Ming whispered. He discovered that ever since he comprehended the Tao of Sovereign, the Enlightenment Ancient Tree had very little effect on him. With the Tao of the Sovereign Lord, Lu Ming seemed to be able to merge with heaven and earth. In fact, he could even control heaven and earth, and gain enlightenment of the Tao of the Sovereign Lord from heaven and earth. As for the Tao Enlightenment Tree, it seemed to be of little help to Lu Ming. The Tao Comprehension Ancient Tree was very useful for gaining enlightenment of magical laws, great Taos, and heavenly Taos, but not for the Tao of the Sovereign Lord. After pondering for a moment, Lu Ming took out a storage ring. This storage ring belonged to Mayo. After killing Mayo, Lu Ming naturally obtained his storage ring. Lu Ming sent his spiritual sense into it. In the next moment, several battle weapons appeared in his hand. What a strange weapon. Lu Ming held the combat weapon and sized it up carefully. The weapons of the Yellow Springs world were also very different from those of the outside world. How wonderful! Lu Ming injected his world energy into the weapon and carefully sensed it. He was amazed. He discovered that there were formations inscribed on the weapon. These formations interacted with each other and formed many magical effects. Once energy was injected into the weapon, these formations would be activated, allowing the weapon to erupt with astonishing power. Moreover, Lu Ming discovered that even if he injected his world energy, the formations inside could be activated. Lu Ming tried a few times and found that these weapons were equivalent to Great Emperor weapons. None of them were equivalent to Heavenly Emperor weapons. Thinking about it, Maio was only a Great Emperor. How could he have a weapon equivalent to a Heavenly Emperor weapon? If I can get a weapon equivalent to a Heavenly Emperor weapon in the Yellow Springs world and bring it out, the experts of the Heavenly Realm can also use it. That will greatly increase the strength of the Heavenly Realm. Thinking of this, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Then, he put away the weapons. In Lu Ming's hand, a sparkling stone appeared. This stone was about the same size as an ore. Is this the divine stone of the Yellow Springs world? Lu Ming whispered. Then, he used his cultivation technique to absorb the energy of the divine stone. The energy in the divine stone was exactly the same as the energy in the Yellow Springs mountain, except that it was many times richer. The energy of the divine stone was absorbed into Lu Ming's body. Soon, it was refined by Lu Ming and turned into his world energy. One divine stone contains so much energy. It's equivalent to 10,000 supreme-grade origin stones. Lu Ming was shocked. The energy of the divine stone was too much. One piece was equivalent to 10,000 supreme-grade origin stones. Lu Ming counted the number of divine stones in Maio's storage ring. There were a total of 500,000 divine stones. If converted into supreme-grade origin stones, it would be 50 billion supreme-grade origin stones. 50 billion supreme-grade origin stones was shocking enough. Lu Ming had obtained a large number of supreme-grade origin stones in the Void Sacred Island. There were about 600 to 700 billion of them. Now, there were only about 100 billion left. The divine stones in Maio's possession were equivalent to half of the origin stones in Lu Ming's possession now. If I can get enough divine stones here, then I won't have to worry about my cultivation anymore. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He had consumed too many resources to cultivate. Now, he only had about 10,000 chaos stones and 100 billion supreme-grade origin stones left. These resources were not enough at all. However, once he had enough divine stones, it would be enough. Chaos stones and primordial stones were not necessary for a breakthrough in cultivation. A single supreme-grade origin stone could also do the same, but the number was too shocking. Therefore, Lu Ming had always cultivated with origin stones and chaos stones or primordial stones. This could greatly reduce the consumption of origin stones. However, 10,000 chaos stones would probably be used up if Lu Ming broke through again. However, as long as Lu Ming had enough divine stones, he could also break through. Lu Ming began to think about how to collect more divine stones. That way, even if he left Yellow Springs Mountain in the future, he would have enough resources to cultivate. After organizing his things, Lu Ming continued to cultivate and comprehend the Tao of Sovereigns. In the blink of an eye, 2 months passed. These 2 months were very peaceful. Nothing happened. Lu Ming cultivated in peace. On this day, Yi Yang sent someone to look for Lu Ming, saying that he had something to discuss with Lu Ming. Lu Ming met Yi Yang in the same hall as last time. Other than Yi Yang, there were 2 other people. One was Bin Bu, who had been defeated by Lu Ming. The other was a woman who looked to be in her 30s. She was very beautiful and had a mature charm. She was full of temptation. This was not difficult to notice from the flames of desire in Bin Bu's eyes when he glanced at her from time to time. Lu Ming recognized this woman. She was also one of Yi Yang's guards. Her name was Liao Min. I'm looking for you today to discuss the commander's assembly. Yi Yang went straight to the point and stated his purpose. Bin Bu and Liao Min were calm. Clearly, they already knew about this. However, Lu Ming was taken aback and a little confused. Lu Ming, you still don't know. Let me tell you. Yi Yang looked at Lu Ming and said, there are a total of 13 commanders in Fengming country. Each of them is in charge of a region. However, the territories that they are in charge of are of different sizes. The troops that they lead are also of different strengths and weaknesses. The ranking of the commanders determines all of this. Chapter 2470. Lu Ming was enlightened. It seemed like Yi Yang had called them here for the commander's assembly. Lu Ming did not say anything, waiting for Yi Yang to continue. The rules of the commander's assembly are very simple. Every commander can bring 3 guards with him to participate and they will challenge each other. In the end, the ruler will rearrange the rankings according to the results. As for the 3 of you, you are the 3 strongest guards under my command. Therefore, this time, you will follow me to the capital to participate in the commander's assembly. Yi Yang announced. Yes. Lu Ming, Binbu, and Liao Min nodded. The capital? There was a glint in Lu Ming's eyes. He also wanted to go to the capital because there was a cursed land in Fengming country's capital. This was exactly what he wanted. Alright, prepare yourselves, we will set off tomorrow. Yi Yang said. The crowd dispersed and the day passed quickly. On the second day, Yi Yang brought Lu Ming, Binbu, and other guards to Fengming country's capital on a giant flying beast. After flying for 3 days, they arrived at Fengming country's capital, a vast ancient city. Fengming country's capital was bustling with noise and excitement. Lu Ming saw many different races. Its commander Yi Yang. The moment they entered the capital, they were recognized. The Centennial Commander's Assembly is around the corner. The capital is going to be lively again. I wonder if there will be any changes to the ranking of the commanders this time. It's hard to say. In my opinion, the biggest suspense is still the battle between the first and second place. 100 years ago, the 2 commanders exchanged 1,000 moves before the victor was decided. That's right, I'm looking forward to it. While the crowd was discussing, Lu Ming's group passed through several streets and arrived at a huge residence. This residence was Commander Yi Yang's residence in the capital. It was equally vast and there were many experts stationed in the residence. The moment Yi Yang's group arrived, someone came to welcome them and arranged accommodations for them. Next, it was time to wait for the commander's assembly to begin. Time passed quickly and 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. The day of the commander's assembly arrived. Yi Yang led Lu Ming, Binbu, and Liao Min towards the imperial palace. When they arrived at the palace, there was naturally someone to receive them. They were led to a spacious area. This place was surrounded by rows of seats that served as viewing platforms. In the center, there was a huge battle platform. Clearly, the battle would take place on the battle stage. Yi Yang, you guys are quite early. A loud laugh could be heard. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw 4 people flying over from another direction. The leader of the group was an elder with a single horn on his forehead. He looked at Yi Yang with a cold smile. You're not late either. Yi Yang said coldly. Yi Yang, this time, I will definitely replace you. The old man sneered. You? You're still far from it. Yi Yang sneered. Both of them were exuding a cold aura as they clashed in the air. Of course, they understood that now was not the time to fight. They snorted and found a viewing platform to sit down. That old guy is called Commander Bian Cheng. He's ranked 10th among the 13 commanders. Our commander is ranked 9th. That guy has always wanted to replace our commander's position. Liao Min transmitted her voice to Lu Ming and explained. Along the way, Liao Min was closer to Lu Ming. She frequently expressed her goodwill to Lu Ming and looked at Lu Ming coquettishly. This made Binbu extremely jealous. Oh, no wonder. Lu Ming nodded and smiled at Liao Min. At this moment, people flew over continuously. They were all other commanders. Each commander had 3 guards with him. Liao Min introduced them to Lu Ming one by one. It's Commander Luo Mo and Commander Yu Zhan. The 2 of them are here together. Suddenly, Liao Min spoke with a solemn voice. Lu Ming also looked over. There were 4 people on each side. The most eye-catching ones were naturally the 2 people walking at the front. One of them was a middle-aged man in a white robe. He was a human. The other had a pair of black wings on his back. His eyes were cold. Through Liao Min's introduction, Lu Ming learned that the middle-aged man in a white robe was Commander Yu Zhan, who was ranked first among the 13 commanders. The one with black wings was Commander Luo Mo, who was ranked second. The 2 of them were extremely powerful and had been fighting for countless years. Their strength was about the same, but overall, Commander Yu Zhan was slightly better. Therefore, he was always ranked first. There were rumors that this time, Commander Luo Mo wanted to pull Commander Yu Zhan down from his throne and replace him. Their gazes met, creating intense sparks. Then, they sat down on their respective seats. The cultivation of these 2 people is very high. Lu Ming sized them up and realized that their cultivation was very high. They were probably much higher than Yi Yang. Then, Lu Ming sized up the guards they brought. Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming realized that there were also Heavenly Emperors among the guards they brought. They were not people Yi Yang and the border city commanders could compare to. Lu Ming saw that among the people Commander Luo Mo brought, there was a very mysterious person. He was covered in a black robe and his appearance could not be seen clearly. I don't see any Heavenly Realm experts or people from other races. Lu Ming pondered. The monarch has arrived. At this moment, a voice sounded. Then, a group of people flew over from afar. There were more than 100 people. The person in the lead was a human in his 50s. He wore a crown and had a majestic aura. Obviously, this person was the monarch of Fengming country. The group of people landed on the seats at the front and sat down in order. Greetings to the monarch. Everyone stood up and bowed to the monarch of Fengming country. Everyone, please be at ease. Take a seat. The monarch of Fengming country waved his hand. Everyone sat down. The Centennial General Meeting is about to begin. The rules are still the same. Everyone will bring 3 guards. The last ranked commander will start the challenge. You can fight to your heart's content. I know what the final result will be. The monarch announced. Yes. Everyone responded. Then, the last ranked commander sent out a guard to jump into the fighting ring. The other party challenged the guard of the 12th ranked commander. Boom. There was nothing much to say. The 2 of them engaged in an intense battle. Both of them were peak great emperors. Their combat strength was comparable. This battle was very intense. After exchanging a few hundred blows, both of them were injured and ended in a draw. How is it? Are you confident? Commander Yi Yang secretly transmitted his voice to Lu Ming and the rest. This kind of trash can't even withstand a blow. I can defeat him in 10 blows. Bingbu said confidently. However, after taking a look at Lu Ming, his face turned gloomy. He was defeated by Lu Ming in 1 blow. Chapter 2472. Commander Rama, you must be joking. How would I dare to fight with you? Commander Yi Yang squeezed out a smile on his ugly face. He then looked at Lu Ming. There was a cold glint in his long and narrow eyes. Lu Ming, hurry up and apologize to Commander Luo Mo and his guards. You want me to apologize? Even Lu Ming was stunned. He did not expect Yi Yang to do this. Yi Yang did not know what grudges he had with the foreign races. Yet, Yi Yang wanted him to apologize without even asking. That's right. Hurry up. I don't care what grudges you have. You must apologize and make Commander Rama and his guards forgive you. No matter what method you use, no matter what price you have to pay. Do you understand? Yi Yang said coldly. He did not hide the strong threat in his voice. His meaning was clear. No matter what method Lu Ming used, even if he had to kneel down or pay a huge price, he had to make the other party forgive him. This way, Commander Rama would not challenge Yi Yang. The commanders' meeting did not stipulate that those with a higher ranking could not challenge those with a lower ranking. This was just the beginning. The lower ranking could only challenge those with a lower ranking. Those with a higher ranking could also challenge those with a lower ranking. However, that would leave a bad impression in the king's heart. Yi Yang was scared to death. Rama was vicious and had strong combat strength. If he challenged him, he would be dead for sure. He cursed in his heart. Lu Ming could have offended anyone, but he had to offend Commander Rama's guards. He was simply courting death. It did not matter if he was courting death, but he had to implicate Yi Yang. Ha! Lu Ming sneered. What are you laughing at? Yi Yang said coldly. The cold light in his snake-like eyes intensified. I'm laughing. Who do you think you are? What right do you have to order me around? Lu Ming said indifferently. What? Yi Yang's eyes widened. He was stunned. What did Lu Ming say? Lu Ming actually said he was a, who do you think you are? What audacity! Yi Yang's chest was filled with flames of anger. Lu Ming was merely his bodyguard. At the end of the day, he was merely his dog. Now, he actually dared to speak of him in such a manner in front of the other commanders and the monarch. This caused him to lose face and be extremely embarrassed. His heart was filled with ice-cold killing intent, and he wanted nothing more than to tear Lu Ming into pieces. If it were any other guard, they would definitely not dare to disobey him. Whatever he said, they would have to do. Ha ha ha, this brat is courting death. At the side, Blue was laughing madly in his heart. He didn't expect Lu Ming to be so stupid. He was simply courting death. No need for nonsense. Even if he kneels in front of me today, he must die. At this moment, the outsider royal said coldly. The words caused Yi Yang's expression to turn even uglier. His gaze spun a few times, and then his eyes lit up as he said, "Everyone, this guard of mine is arrogant and has offended his superiors. What's the point of keeping such a person? I'll expel him from the ranks of my guards now. If you have any grudges with him, feel free to look for him. It has nothing to do with me. Lu Ming, hand over your guard token." At the end of his sentence, Yi Yang looked coldly at Lu Ming. He actually expelled him from the ranks of the guards. This Yi Yang is really decisive. However, this way, he can avoid a battle with Commander Rama. It's a wise choice. That's right. If it were me, I would also do the same. Fighting with Commander Rama would only be courting death. The commanders in the surroundings discussed fervently. The monarch, who was sitting at the top, looked calm as he drank his wine. No one knew what he was thinking. Here's the guard token. Lu Ming took out the guard token and threw it to Yi Yang. Commander Rama, Lu Ming is no longer my guard. If there's anything, feel free to look for him. Commander Yi Yang looked at Commander Rama with a flattering expression. Hee, this commander is really useless. That foreign race royal laughed disdainfully. Yi Yang's expression turned ugly, but he did not dare to refute. The other party was Rama's guard. Offending him was equivalent to offending Rama. It's all because of Lu Ming. Otherwise, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Yi Yang looked coldly at Lu Ming, killing intent flashing in his eyes. This time, he had expelled Lu Ming from the ranks of the guards in front of everyone. Not only did he lose one person on his side, but he was also afraid that the king would not have a good impression of him. This time, it was impossible for him to raise his ranking. He was afraid that his ranking would fall and he would be suppressed by the commander of the border city. He blamed everything on Lu Ming. "You still want to kill me?" Lu Ming could naturally feel the killing intent from Yi Yang. Lu Ming's eyes were also filled with killing intent. "Monarch, I would like to challenge Lu Ming to settle our personal grudge. I seek your permission." That foreign race royal cupped his fists and said to the monarch. "Sure." The monarch said indifferently. He did not take it to heart since it was just a few guards of the commanders. Swoosh! The foreign race royal leaped onto the battle ring and looked at Lu Ming. He said, "Lu Ming, come up and fight me." Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. He moved his body and leaped onto the fighting ring. Even if his opponent did not challenge him, he would find an opportunity to do so. He would kill any foreign race member that he saw. Every time he killed a foreign race member, the strength of the foreign race would decrease. Boom! The foreign race royal unleashed a powerful aura. This is second-level void transformation. What a powerful aura! What terrifying strength! He's just a guard of Commander Rama, but he's actually at the second-level void transformation. The other commanders exclaimed. Second-level void transformation was equivalent to a 2-star heavenly emperor. Some of the other commanders were only at the first-level void transformation while some were at the second-level void transformation. On the other hand, Commander Rama's guard was at the second-level void transformation. The gap between them was too big. A cold smile appeared on Rama's face. This was his trump card. This time, he wanted to defeat Commander Yuzhan and obtain the first place. Kill. Destruction sword formation. The royal member of the foreign tribe shouted coldly. Beams of destructive light burst forth from his third eye, transforming into many combat swords. They formed a sword array and charged toward Lu Ming. Good timing. Lu Ming's expression was calm as he threw out dozens of punches. This time, Lu Ming did not use his Tao of ruler. Instead, he used his physical strength. Boom! Boom! Dozens of explosions sounded. Lu Ming blasted his opponent's sword formation away, but he was forced to retreat as well. He blocked it. The other commanders were shocked. Lu Ming had blocked his opponent's attack. This was enough to prove that Lu Ming was also at the Heavenly Emperor stage. That Yi Yang actually has a guard at the Transformation Void stage. The border city commander's eyes darkened. Damn it! Yi Yang roared. The stronger Lu Ming was, the more uncomfortable he felt. He could not help but think how good it would be if Lu Ming did not offend Rama's guard. Then, he would be ranked higher. The king of Fengming's interest was piqued. Chapter 2473. Kill. The foreign tribe royal roared as his third eye shone even brighter. Rays of light shot out and condensed into more and more battle swords that charged toward Lu Ming. At the same time, a violet battle sword appeared in his hand. He became one with the sword and transformed into a violet streak of light that charged toward Lu Ming. He unleashed his full strength to kill Lu Ming as soon as possible. It seems like I'm not a match for a 2-star heavenly emperor with just my physical strength. Lu Ming thought before he clenched his fist. The purplish gold sovereign energy gathered and transformed into a long spear. Whoosh! Lu Ming swept his long spear in all directions, and the sword rays that were slashing toward him disintegrated. Clang! Lu Ming's long spear collided with the sword gleam of the foreign tribe royal, erupting with a shocking boom. The foreign tribe royal's body trembled violently as shock filled his eyes. His body was sent flying by Lu Ming's attack. Whoosh! Lu Ming charged forward with his spear like a bolt of lightning. His speed was extremely fast. Poof! The foreign tribe royal could not dodge at all. Lu Ming's spear pierced through his forehead, piercing through his head. A 2-star heavenly emperor from the foreign tribe royal was dead. Boom! Yi Yang suddenly stood up from his seat. His face was filled with shock. Lu Ming's combat strength was so strong that he could kill a second-level void transformation powerhouse. After all, he was only at the second-level void transformation. The others were also shocked. Huh, someone actually expelled such an expert from the ranks of the guards. Looks like someone is very confident. The border city commander sneered. Commander Yi Yang's expression was ugly. At this moment, there was a trace of regret in his heart. If he had known earlier that Lu Ming was so strong, he would have reconsidered. With a helper like Lu Ming, his ranking as a commander this time would definitely be higher. Even if he offended Commander Luo Mo, he could still accept it. However, there was no use in regretting now. Damn it! Commander Luo Mo was furious. His killing intent soared to the sky. Lu Ming had actually killed a foreign tribe royal and caused him to lose a general. This would have a huge impact on his attempt to become number 1. Luo Mo, looks like your subordinate challenged someone he shouldn't have. Commander Yuzhan laughed. Among these people, he was the happiest. Among the 13 commanders, only Commander Luo Mo was a threat to him. Now that Commander Luo Mo had lost a strong helper, of course. Luo Mo, Commander Luo Mo, Commander Luo Mo, Luo Mo, Luo Mo's eyes, Luo Mo. After Lu Ming killed the foreign clan royal, he reached out and sucked the other party's storage bracelet away. He did not leave the fighting ring immediately. Instead, he cast a cold glance at Commander Yi Yang before he turned around and cupped his fists at the king. King, Lu Ming would like to ask if I can challenge a commander now. Lu Ming's words shocked some commanders. Lu Ming wants to challenge a commander? Is he going to ascend to the position of a commander? This was especially true for Commander Yi Yang. His heart was greatly shaken, and a trace of fear flashed across his eyes. He was afraid that Lu Ming would challenge him. Presumptuous. Who do you think you are? You're not even a guard of a commander. How dare you challenge a commander? This is the commander's meeting. Get out of my sight. Commander Yi Yang stood up and reprimanded. If I remember correctly, anyone can challenge a commander according to the rules of Fengming country. As long as one defeats and kills the commander, one can take over the commander's position. Am I wrong? Lu Ming glanced at Commander Yi Yang and sneered. Of course. The monarch of Fengming laughed. He was naturally happy to see his subordinates challenge each other. This way, the strong would replace the weak and the strength of Fengming country would grow. Which commander do you want to challenge? The monarch of Fengming asked. Of the 13 commanders present, many of them began to feel nervous. I want to challenge Commander Yi Yang. Lu Ming stretched out his hand and pointed at Yi Yang. Yi Yang's face turned ghastly pale. Fear could be seen in his eyes. He could not figure out Lu Ming's combat strength at all. He had just killed a second-level void transformation powerhouse. He was confident that his strength was stronger than the foreign clan's royal, but not by much. He was not confident that he could defeat Lu Ming. Damn it! Damn it! Commander Yi Yang roared in his heart. He was filled with regret. If he knew this would happen, he would not have accepted Lu Ming as his guard. He blamed everything on Lu Ming. He did not even think about why Lu Ming would challenge him. He felt that everything he did was right. Yi Yang, why aren't you accepting the challenge? Are you afraid of your own guard? The border city commander sneered. Commander Yi Yang's face flushed red. In the end, he felt helpless. He had to accept the challenge. Otherwise, he would not be able to survive in Fengming country. Swoosh! He leaped onto the battle stage and looked at Lu Ming coldly. He held a battle sword in each of his hands. The two battle swords emitted a black glow. All of a sudden, Commander Yi Yang struck first. He had the upper hand by striking first. His two combat swords transformed into two sinister and cold vipers that charged toward Lu Ming. At the same time, the lower half of his body, the snake tail, also pierced toward Lu Ming like a sharp long sword. When they worked together, it was impossible to guard against them. However, Lu Ming did not need to guard against them at all. He only needed to attack. Whoosh! The long spear vibrated as Lu Ming swept it out. The purplish-gold long spear expanded to a few thousand meters long as it swept out. It crushed toward Commander Yi Yang. No matter how tricky Yi Yang's attack was, it was useless. He could only face such a brutal attack head-on. The battle swords in his hands slashed out continuously. In an instant, he had slashed out more than 1,000 times. They landed on the long spear that Lu Ming had condensed with the power of the sovereign. Even so, Commander Yi Yang was still sent flying by the terrifying power of the long spear. His face turned pale. Bam! Lu Ming stepped onto the battle stage and leaped high. He held the long spear with both hands and slammed it down on Yi Yang with the force of Mount Tai. A huge spear light came crashing down like a mountain range. Commander Yi Yang roared and used all his strength. His body was covered by a layer of green light. In the next moment, he turned into a huge python and soared into the sky. Boom! The long spear collided heavily with the python. The python screamed and fell off the battle stage, revealing Yi Yang's appearance. At this moment, his aura was weak and he spat out mouthfuls of blood. He looked terrified. Whoosh! Lu Ming became one with the spear and turned into a spear light that charged toward Yi Yang. No, no, I admit defeat, Commander Yi Yang shrieked, his face filled with terror. However, Lu Ming's long spear did not stop at all. It pierced through Commander Yi Yang directly. Commander Yi Yang's eyes widened as he looked at Lu Ming in horror. Then, he stopped breathing. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.